Oh yeah. You know where we're heading towards the sun, my king, the poet, heading towards the sun. Yours truly special. Monday, 17th of March. Yours truly gonna commence with gratitude. Grateful, thankful, rent's paid, electricity bills paid. Got food and coffee, did 2 laundries today. 2 laundry, gotta give salutations, LOVE, to my anonymous friend who gifted yours truly the washer and the dryer so I don't have to go like I used to do in the past for many years. Used to go use the washer and the dryer in my neighborhood there, and I am a bit moody. I was a bit moody, but now I'm off on the march, so I always feel better, you know. I was a bit moody, you know, a bit on the more moody side. I wasn't feeling that 100%, but now that I'm out, I mean, always when I get a few steps, already a few minutes in my march, you know, I already feel much better. I was just moody, I guess, financially stressed, you know, financial stress. And I guess a little bit of those, had a little bit of misunderstandings, I'm assuming, online, you know. A little bit of misunderstanding online with a few friends, because most of my friends are online, you know, for many years. And from now on, friends with benefits only. North Americans Unite. Special King is absent edition. King, where's the king, Mr. Fellow Canadians, brothers and sisters? The king is absent. We gotta salute the firefighters, LOV, the firefighters, truckers, butchers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks, all involved in the production and the distribution of food. Gotta give a shout out again to my anonymous friend, whom if I make $1 million, gonna give 50% half for the jacket, blue jacket. One of the greatest jackets I ever had. I believe this is one of the greatest. And for the pants, and I'm auctioning everything that I'm wearing for $1 million each. The underwear, the socks, the shoes. Thank you to the anonymous acquaintance, friend acquaintance, who gifted me these shoes for the holidays. So get ready for the springtime. Spring is knocking on the door. Again, grateful, thankful, my rent's paid my rent, paid my electricity bill, got food and coffee. And only thing that I'm lacking, not in that weight of a lack, but you know, I craved those wafers, and I'm tempted to go get me 3 wafer packs, 125 each. I'm hoping they're having increased in price, because last time they went from $1 to 125. So that's the problem we have, you know, us here, that we have on the ground, on the field, that has been for many years, you know. And brothers and sisters, yours truly. Gotta salute the nurses, the doctors, the firefighters. Sending some love to the nurses, the doctors, the firefighters, those involved in the production, distribution of food. And I guess I gotta put a little bit of that glove on because it's getting a bit chilly. Thing was supposed to drop, but I got in the backpack. You know, I got that backpack on. So in the backpack I do have the gloves, red gloves, big red gloves, by which I'm challenging Donald Trump. If you don't know, you will know that I have been and will continue to challenge Donald Trump to a boxing match ever since, for the first time, the imposition of tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel back from 2018. And this Quebecer Canadian, North American, who was born in the United States 3 times post 70-76, when there was only 13 states, and now we got to 50. I don't know about that 51st state, but I do know, to my fellow Canadians, that the king is absent in my dream. Fundamentally, Canada-United States fusion via my trinity of initiatives, philosophies, the CIT, citizen integration theory, the DRT, debt fusion theory, which is a must because we're in emergency economic, financial, commercial mode for many of us, public and private, and the democratic fusion theory. So always got to get on that march. So gonna start drills, maybe tomorrow, maybe the day after that. Potential 51, the 51 legions, calling for the establishment of the 51 legions. And here we're French Canadian, you know, so we speak that French, and those are my cousins there, my family right there, you know. Those are part of the big family here in Quebec, and we just love our language, you know. We love our language, and that's like my cousins and my aunties here in this great Quebec, you know, because that's how I relate to my fellow Quebecers, Montrealers here in this Hawk Island, Montreal, you know. And I'm a bit weird because I have autism, you know, HFA, high functioning autism, and Asperger's. So being on a neurofunctional neurodivergent sign, living with Asperger's, I have weird habits and weird strength routines, and of course in the social atmosphere or the social part of life, we Aspies like myself, we have a more difficult time. But you know, it's just a neurodivergence. It's not a mental illness or anything like that. It's just because our brains are wired differently, so we tend to be super focused, super concentrated, super in it when it revolves around our what's called special interests for Aspies. So means my holy trinity of special interests 24/7 geopolitics, and today I spent about 6 hours from the morning till the afternoon, if not close to 7, just analyzing back and forth geopoliticals and analyzing of course the discussions of the leaders, because I'm an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, and geopolitical, political, diplomatic, commercial events of diplomacy and politics are happening on a daily basis, especially now in these tough geopolitical times. And of course I gotta restate that of course I have predicted what's happening now back in 2019, and I have proof of work. And of course other things of neurodivergence aside, I am part of the LGBTQ community. You know, I 50-50. I am an androgynous pansexual citizen of Quebec, Canada, Labelle province. You get that 50-50 with yours truly. And of course sometimes more 50+1, 51 plus, sometimes 50, or sometimes depending on whatever the male or the woman's side, the men's side, the woman's side, I'm 50-50. You know, I am androgynous and consider myself, you know, 50-50 androgynous. But those things aside, being part of the LGBTQ community and what have you, being androgynous pansexual, when you discuss geopolitics, you have to forget that and just focus when I analyze and do geopolitical theorizing or geopolitical analysis. And of course, regardless of what I say on conflicts, of course, I have predicted what's happening now in a general manner back in 2019, in October, November. I have proof of work because I created a workout training program system to go hand in hand with just such a scenario as a World War III. So in many ways, I have been in that World War III type of mode in international conflagration as I'm marching north now towards the sunset. Gonna take a turn here like a snake, and of course gonna go towards the sun. I'm gonna go roundabout and then gonna go deep south. Not that deep south. I gotta give a little bit of salutation in LOV. This march is of course dedicated to all my willingly loving allies and armies. Pledge your allegiance, but also to my brothers and sisters in the South, in Texas, Arkansas, Alabama, and the Midwest, you know, those states which are, of course, from what I know, there were 44 is this, when I left, was 44 fatalities in the storms, in the tornadoes. You know, there were hardcore tornadoes, and of course for years will call for the establishment of a Canada joint public-private partnership, security service and defense, and being able to respond in emergencies, emergency response, security service and defense, security service and defense, security service and defense, and emergency response on coast to coast, ocean to ocean. And I'm gonna do drills in the coming days, weeks, and months ahead. It's gonna be drills that I'm gonna do, starting off calling the 51st Legion, aka Dragon Army, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, which is my call for the formation of a public-private partnership to serve solely one purpose, for the North American Collectif, as we fuse Canada here, the true North, strong and free, with the home of the brave and the land of the free. But that ain't enough. We gotta add some of that love, L-O-V-E melody. We gotta add some of that love melody. We gotta add some of that love melody. And thought I was gonna lose my eye, my right eye, and the other was my left eye, but I'm fine now as I go towards the sun. Maybe that's the eye of the goddess. And I'm marking today 5-year celebration, marking since by the end of March, of course, I'm gonna be marking 5 years since I survived COVID. 5 years since I survived COVID. I gotta watch the car there. They're passing by the car. See, here we got a stop sign, so I always gotta turn my head left or right, because you never know. Sometimes the cars, here's one way, see? That's one way, but still, you gotta still double check even if there's a stop sign, because you never know. The citizen might press the accelerator instead of the brake. The driver might press the accelerator instead of the brakes, might press the accelerator. The citizen driver might not only just press the accelerator, the citizen driver might press by mistake the accelerator, or the brakes can malfunction. The brakes can malfunction. So when I'm in the public, as now I have added responsibilities, duties, and obligations which I do not have under the normal circumstances of life. And You know, I got plenty of scars on my body, so sometimes I have tendency to scratch, but I kind of, over the past years, I developed when I'm in the public, because I got a little bit of a misunderstanding the other day, and I had to go to court because of scratching, and I literally have scars on my body, and I have scars on my androgynous. I'm gonna watch if there's nobody around. I have scars on my androgynous genitalia. You know, I have scars, and sometimes it goes rocket that erection, rocket like erection, but it's something that I have scars, and sometimes it itches, you know. So I've been applying a cream, but with a cream application I gotta go get a dermatologist again, but I could not afford. I was not able to afford the $300 required, because they were all kind of charged $300, $330, and $350 or something like that. The lowest I could find was $300, and whatever the case may be. So back to what I was saying, that I'm going to continue doing the drills, and I'm kind of introducing now the 51st state potential hypothetical scenario. But of course, my call for the fusion via North American centric union, the North and the South Canada fused United States, by implementing a great census across North America, by creating a common currency and a common security service and defense force for the 21st century, operating as a North American collective, because here we are an emergent civilizational collective. We are an emergent civilizational collective. And you know, I got Canada tatted on my arm. So, you know, when we fuse, we're still gonna be North Americans, Canadians, and still Quebecer, Canadian, North American. And it's just my brothers and sisters in the USA. And you know, I'm no Trump supporter. I would have voted for Biden and Kamala Harris or Biden, and have been and will challenge Donald Trump to a boxing match. And I always state that it's not the right way to invite us. Should have invited us with some bacon of apple pies, cherry pies, sugar pies, apple pies, strawberry pies, just across 50 pies across each state. The fruit of that particular state, just pies and dancing and marching bands, and that would have been the proper way to invite us, you know. And of course, 15.6% supported in the shape of water, and more than 44% support, kind of my view, 44.9. So almost half support of a North American Union vis-a-vis something similar to the European Union. Because the 51st state, you know, is something which, you know, it's a different matter of discussions, but in theory, of course, I would still advocate for public health care, and I will Donald Trump signed an executive order for raising of the minimum wage, you know. Super important to raise the minimum wage and rebuild the North American urban inner cities, aka the ghettos, to rebuild it and rebuild the infrastructure. And the DRT, death row fusion theory, the democratic fusion theory, best for this collective North American civilizational complex of which we are together. We constitute an emergent collective. So as in the coming days, weeks and months ahead, I'm going to be doing drills. Potentially, you know, let's say 51st state hypothesis, and my call for the Dragonomy, North American Integrated Security Service and Defense Force, integrated with all existing institutions and organizations to be for the 21st century, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, security service and defense, 21st century apparatus for encouraging people to work out, train, exercise, and that's how we gotta go towards the sun, and sending some big loving to my brothers and sisters. This week is going to be a lot of meditation and marching for the storms, pre-storm, post-storm recovery, post-storm recovery operations ongoing, you know, in the South and in the Midwest. A few states were hit hard by tornadoes and mega storms, so I got to give a little bit of love to those in there, and I'm meditating as I would be on the ground doing salvaging operations and the citizens first and foremost. So I just want to send what I got most. Loves and kisses I got by the tree. It's created from the forgotten goddess, dedie. I got a goddess that, you know, because I created me surviving COVID, and I celebrate me surviving COVID. I created my surviving COVID to the goddess, dedie, goddess, and I will to build a forgotten goddess temple Forgotten Goddess Temple, Forgotten Goddess Temple on the Canadian-US border, parallel with the North American Imperial People's Coliseum, a mega structure 11 times bigger than the NFL Stadium where my 49ers lost to the Ravens, known as a Super Bowl event, was known as the Hardball Ball, aka Blackout Ball, Hardball Ball, aka Blackout Ball, Blackout Ball also known as the Hardball Ball. Hardball as in a surname because two brothers faced each other on the field, and one was head coach of the 49ers, the other one was head coach of the Ravens. So that was the first time we're a Super Bowl where two brothers had faced each other in the Super Bowl, and of course my 49ers lost by 3 points. 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 By 3 points, my 49ers lost. Not by much. And it's also known as the Hardball Bowl, aka Blackout Bowl, so I gotta find out because I almost checked, I forgot which one it was, and 11 times bigger than that stadium I'm calling to build on the Canadian-US border. On the Canadian-US border for Sportis in Perpetuitas, Sportis in Perpetuitas, for Sportis in Perpetuitas. That means in Latin for sports in perpetuity, to have 24/7 event, and the inauguration event to be Dragon versus Trump, to build this huge infrastructure, to build this huge infrastructure for the North American Collective, and I credit all those who build it, rock and roll, because rock and roll I got feet washes, massages, kisses, I got 718 trillions of kisses, 718 trillions of kisses, 718 trillions of kisses created from the Forgotten Goddess. So kissing I can do overtime with that. So that is something which we gotta do. Sometimes I just gotta admire these beautiful, see how beautiful they are, you know, so beautiful they are with that, so beautiful they are with that, see, beautiful they are with the trees and the evergreens. They're always green, eh? Now spring sitting on the door, oh, we see some green, and we see a little bit of snow, a lot of snow melted, but these are always green. That's the beauty of these. They're always green as the sky now is getting on that sunset elevation, and there's always a sunset and a sunset as I go on these freestyle rock and roll marching events for years and years and years, and I've suffered, struggled. I survived COVID 5 years ago between February 7th and March 2020, end of March. So between February 7th and the end of March, March 26th, 27th, whatever the case may be, between February and March, I could even say specific dates. Let's say between early February and late March, something like that. I was sick, ill, diseased. It was COVID. I had COVID very, very severe. I thought I was gonna die. It was like death, pestilence, and disease. 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 I know when I say that, singing that type of style of rock and roll, heavy metal, death, thrash metal, death, pestilence, and disease. But that's how I felt. Like death, pestilence, and disease, you know. And I died during COVID. I had nothing that I want to go back to, you know. So right in my underground dragon's lair there, where I live now, and I moved from a very moldy place, lots of black mold, green mold, red mold, and just remember moving. I have trouble remembering early life before that event, which was years and years and years ago, but it's like blackouts of memories, you know, retrograde amnesia, symptoms of retrograde amnesia. So I just have flashes of trauma and unspeakable acts committed against me, and just being attacked by surprise. And I just found some oranges, gonna clean, and if they're still good, gonna check if they're still good, because I don't want to waste food. And I guess I'm in that World War III mode, but I don't know if they're still good or not, but gonna check, I guess. If not, I'm gonna compost them, because leaving this bag there with this is gonna be a mess. If the squirrels get in it, it's gonna be for the environment here. So I'm just gonna check and wash them. I'm gonna wash them and check if they're still good. So I'm gonna take that bag, you know, because food waste, probably somebody dropped them over there. I don't know when, but I'm gonna have to smell and inspect. If not, I'm gonna just compost them, you know. Food waste, imagine, food has increased, the prices of food has increased, and the lots of prices have increased. And now that I'm on the subject, please, NFL, National Football League, NHL, National Hockey League, NBA, National Basketball Association, MLB, please reduce the cost of the tickets by 44.9%. NFL, National Football League, NHL, National Hockey League, NBA, National Basketball Association, MLB, please reduce the tickets cost by 44.9%. NFL, please, NFL, National Football League, NHL, National Hockey League, NHL, National Hockey League, NBA, National Basketball Association, MLB, please reduce the cost of the tickets by 44. Estimation of the reduction is 44.9%. That's why I estimate to be reduced by 44.9%. 44.9%. That is what I estimate the reduction of the food, the prices of the tickets. The prices of the tickets to be at par and level with the prices overall increasing in prices. Canada, US are putting together because most of the financial, economic, commercial situation where we are in Concordia now parallel and similar. Canada, United States are, so that is something which we got to envision now. And of course, a few minutes past, I'm still on this rock and roll, freestyle rock and roll as I go on these marching steps. Gotta send some love. Firefighters, LOV, salutations. Firefighters, the butchers, the nurses, the doctors, the welders, the plumbers, those who change some daycare diapers, those who change some diapers in the daycares, those who change some diapers in the daycares, those daycare workers changing some of those diapers across the North American Collective, the train conductors, the welders, the painters, the electricians, the plumbers, all those involved in the production, distribution of food, making some of that fast food, cheeseburgers, hamburgers, cheeseburgers, and whatever the case may be. Hamburgers and cheeseburgers with that, and that's what we gotta get doing with the hamburgers and cheeseburgers or whatever the case may be, fries and what have you. So that is sometimes which we gotta get doing on that, and sometimes which we gotta get operational with the, always on the operational side of things, and meditating now about the warehouse workers, cashiers, plumbers, welders, electricians, IT workers, warehouse workers, those working in ports, those working in aviation, across the North American Collective, and being myself a financially struggling, stressed artist, athlete, philosopher, geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, and mystic. I had lived many past lives, many incarnations. Today, 17th of March, 2025, 17th of March. Grateful, thankful, my rent's paid my electricity bill, got food and coffee, and always open for business. For business and pleasure, open for business and pleasure, open for business and pleasure, open for business and pleasure. That's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta get on that, open for business and pleasure, and opening new doors, new ideas fresh on the table, and with all the imperfections, flaws, and scars, and retrograde amnesia, memory loss, and being an ASPE, being neurodivergent which is not a mental illness. Again, Asperger's, it's HFA, high functioning autism, and it's just a neurological mental divergent condition which makes people like myself, Aspies, predisposed to special interests. And those special interests preoccupy our daily habits and routines to the point of, although some Aspies are more flexible than others, we have a routine, a daily habit and routine which we engage in, although myself can be flexible and can have flexibility, but I have to do a few hours a day. I have to engage in geopolitical theoretical analysis and theorizing and the study, the analysis, and whatever's happening on the news of geopolitics. And I got to do some of that good rock and roll singing, and some of that sports and fitness and sports dancing. And before 2017 and before that, and I remember moving, and I'm not sure exactly what year I moved. I used to live, like I said, in a moldy place, and whatever the case may be, I moved from a moldy place, and I was depressed, suicidal. I survived, so having survived all that, so it's something which I gotta get doing with the survivor side, and that's what we gotta get doing on the now, So having survived all that, survived being attacked by surprise a few years ago, hit my head, hit my head, and had a dislocated shoulder. Went to the hospital, went to the hospital, went to the hospital, went to the hospital, went to the hospital. You know, with that. And that's what we gotta get doing with that. So, having been going to the hospital, they put me on some medication because my dislocated shoulder was severely dislocated. We got replaced, and I was put on some medication. I was kind of like in a coma. So basically, I lived a Cillian Pirate episode. Lived a Cillian Pirate episode. I kind of survived and lived a Cillian Pirate episode. So that's what I gotta get doing with that. And so we gotta get doing on the XYZ. So it's something which we gotta be mindful of here, you know. Although of all the things we have, and civilization is a privilege, and with all the scars, all the imperfection, I supremely believe that and I know, now my theory, at least the DRT, debt fusion theory, which I'm going to discuss after we cross on that sunset on the other side of the bridge and come back, the DRT, debt fusion theory, paradoxically, it comes out of me being cursed with Asperger's and due to being an ASP, a neurodivergent. I've suffered, struggled, and had problems maintaining employment and, you know, regular employment for sometimes it was a few weeks, a few months, and you know, because just we're neurodivergent, so we don't understand things such as gossip and things of that nature. It just comes hard to us. We have trouble with the social dynamics in social groups and social settings. So not that we're antisocial, it's just that our brain is wired differently. So we could speak and discuss for hours and hours and hours those special interests. But when it comes to other things, such as understanding, for example, you know, the social protocol. Somebody asks you, for example, how are you? Using an aspect, I always say, if I don't feel so good, say I'm a bit moody or I'm financially stressed. I just sleep. So, but it's actually just, how are you? You're supposed to say, I'm good, how are you? But the thing is, Aspies, we're going to respond how most Aspies, because I'm an individual Aspie, right? So I speak for myself, but we will actually say however we are, whatever we are, for the XYZ, and that's what it is for that. So that's how we gotta get doing with that. So the XYZ, you know, for the LOVE, you know. So just saw somebody wearing red, and that's how we gotta get doing with that. So saw somebody wearing red, and that's always good, you know, wearing that red. My favorite color, maybe potential Dragon Army. So you gotta be able to do that general war integrated total body training system, aka the Dragon Army workout, which is the simple effective workout training program system which I created. So see, out of having Asperger's and being that interest, of course, is geopolitics. Geopolitics is my special interest. To get it on the go with that special interest is geopolitics. And in geopolitics, you know, one of the main studies is war, the study of military affairs and war and diplomacy, and also so the interactions at a political level, micro and the macro level. So the dynamics of political systems, whatever, geography, geology, history, religion, even, you know, I gotta know a little bit about the religious aspect of things sometimes when in geopolitics. So, but nonetheless, I created a workout training program system to go hand in hand with a World War III scenario back in 2019, and I created my workout training program system, which is entitled General War Integrated Total Body Training System, aka Dragon Army Workout, which is a simple, effective workout training program system which requires no equipment, which is, of course, requires no equipment, which is the de facto examination for the general examination for the Dragon Army. So I'm calling for the establishment thereof. And of course, in the coming days, weeks, and months ahead, we're going to be doing 51 legions, 51st Legion, 51st Legion, for the establishment of a 1% of the population, adult population for the mobilization of 1%, and to establish a new force strictly and only for defense, security service, and emergency response. Security service, defense, and emergency response. Security service and defense, and emergency response. Security service and defense, and emergency response for the collective North American civilization, integrated with all the population, integrated with all the population, integrated with all the population, integrated with all the population which exists now. And that's all we gotta get doing with that, you know. So it is something which we gotta be doing now, and which we gotta continue to operate on an operational level and build Forgotten Goddess Temple on the Canadian-US border, the North American Imperial Coliseum, the North American Imperial Coliseum, the North American Imperial Coliseum, North American Imperial Coliseum, the great North American Imperial Coliseum on the border, Canadian-US border on the Canadian-US border, and the Coliseum bigger, 11 times bigger than the arena Coliseum of the NFL, National Football League, where the hardball ball, aka blackout ball, aka blackout ball, the hardball ball, aka blackout ball, of course, was played. What a beautiful, with a hardball ball. Thank you. Firefighters, butchers, bakers, public workers in the 20th century. Gonna include them in the march dedicated, of course, to the operations ongoing for the post-tornado, post-storms recovery. Thinking about them, imagining now as I go on the drill, I'll be on the ground, and of course whatever works needs to be done, lifting and pushing and shoving and lifting and moving and whatever the case may be. That's what I'm imagining now. And gotta give a shout out to those who worked in electrification. Civilization is a privilege. See all that electrification there, you know, that was my thesis back in 2023. The privilege of civilization, the privilege of civilization, the privilege of civilization, and civilization is a privilege. So that's how we gotta get doing with that, and that's how we gotta keep doing. So it's something which we gotta get doing on that, and that's how we gotta get doing on that, eh? So that's how we gotta get doing on the side of things here, you know. As we go towards the sunset, we're gonna just turn around the bout and go through the wilderness a bit. Just gonna go through the wilderness a bit here. You're supposed to get, you know, pass. You're supposed to stop and pass, you know, because that's how it is here, you know, with the pedestrians. So we're gonna go all the way to the railroad at the other side, and we're gonna discuss that DRT soon. But once again, calling on the NFL, National Football League, NHL, National Hockey League, NBA, National Basketball Association, MLB, to reduce the cost of the tickets by 44.9%. Please, Mr. Trump, sign 3 executive orders: one for raising the minimum wage, one for the rebuilding of the North American inner urban cities, aka the ghettos of North America, mass financing that, and support the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom public-private partnership for the fusion of Canada and the United States. My brothers and sisters, Canadians, the king is absent. We're gonna do the hypothetical 51, the 51st Legion, the 51st Legion, the 51st Legion, the 51st Legion with the establishment Dragon Army, comprised of 51 legions, one for each state. 51 legions from now on, mobilizing 1 percentile of the population, 1 percentile of the population, 1 percentile of the population of each state. Adult men, women, trans, whatever the case may be. Whatever identification, whatever qualities. The only one is to be able to do the general war integrated body training system, aka the Dragon Army workout, and then that's the top one. After that, see what can one do, bring to the table: security service, defense, emergency response, security service and defense, emergency response. The philosophy, the body is a temple for pleasure and purpose, and encouraging mass financing, fitness, building that North American People's Imperial Coliseum, where the first event is going to be Dragon versus Trump. Me fighting Donald Trump in a sportsmanlike boxing match as a Democratic Republican, as a Republican Democrat, as a Democratic Republican, as a pro-labor and love universal revolutionary centrist. My revolutionary centrism is tied hand in hand with my trinity of theories: the CIT, citizen integration theory, the DRT, detrol fusion theory, and the DFT, democratic fusion theory. That trinity of theories right here for what it is, you know, marching on the streets and fellow cousins there, or auntie or uncle, I don't I don't know for sure, I'm just assuming, but my family here, Canadians, Quebecers, and all who come to join us here, my brothers and sisters in the 50 states, brothers and sisters, Granddaddy Trump, with which I don't fully agree. Very few things I agree with, very few I would have voted for. Auntie Kamala Harris and another Granddaddy Biden. You know, we're a great family, we should enjoy and roll together. The king is absent. The king is absent, my brothers and sisters, fellow Canadians. The king is absent. It's time for the Republic. It's time for the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom, which is fundamentally a public-private partnership from existing orders to the new 21st century. Fusion, North through North, strong and free. We gotta add some loving with that. And home of the brave and the land of the free. We gotta cook some pies, you know, and do some marching bands dance and do some cheerleading for the fusion, you know, for the 51st legions and the legions, you know, establishment of new legions, security service and defense force only, security service and defense force only, security service and defense force only, and emergency responses, and to build those 44 tunnels, to build, construct those 44 tunnels, to build and construct 44. It's interesting, by Providence, that's number 44 there, and that one's 46, so I'm in between. I'm exactly kind of in the middle, so close to 45, close to 45, close to 45. Wow, what are the odds of that? What are the odds of that? The numbers of the houses, what were the odds of that? I was said to be just before, 5 seconds before, as I was marching, taking steps and discussing the building of 44 tunnels, which I'm calling for a mass building of 44 mass tunnels inspired by the Cheyenne Mountain Complex, and inspired not only by the Cheyenne Mountain Complex, but also by the Montreal Underground, by the Montreal Underground village, in case of a thermonuclear war, to stack with cans of sardines and beans and cans of food, but whatever cans can be for life, shelf life for 3.5 years, 5 years, 7 years, 11 years, more than 44 years to stack. To stack them with food. To stack them with food, you know. Stack them with food in case of a thermonuclear war. And for the continuity of the subsistence of the North American Civilisation Collective in case of a thermonuclear war. In case of a thermonuclear war, of which the thermonuclear war, of which the thermonuclear war is a possibility now on the horizon, with a possibility on the horizon of China invading Taiwan, but I'm home by midnight tonight. I see on the news that Taiwan, Republic of China, also known Taiwan as the Republic of China, while the People's Republic of China is mainland China. So I might see that there is, of course, an invasion of Taiwan by China, because that's an unresolved conflict which dates from the 20th century, and that was mainly by prediction back in 2019 in October, November, when I had concluded that humanity is set towards an international conflagration, and back then had created a workout training program system to go hand in hand with such an event. And of course, I had predicted what's happening now in a general overall manner. So having that I predicted that, you know, making that prediction, you know, something which I have, and made that prediction with that, and that's what we gotta get it on that, you know. So something which we gotta be on the mindful of, you know, that I predicted it. So something which we gotta be prudent on, and, you know, on the go. So something which we gotta do on the go. So something which we gotta be mindful of, you know. Here we are on the mindful side, mindfulness, and we gotta get it on the do, you know. Sometimes we just gotta be grateful, but it's possible, and for all my brothers and sisters, including my brothers and sisters, blacks, my neighbors included, 13.4%, my neighbors included, you know, are black. So gotta include it. Sometimes we got racism, you know, but we gotta fight it in and You know, we made it so far. And this is unique about us here in the collective, North American complex, in the North American collective. But us Canadians, we're true north, strong and free, so we're north, and my brothers and sisters are south, south, south. The finger's pointing south. And you know, we have a lot of work to do, but we're a collective and a new civilizational complex, an emergent civilizational complex, not only divorced, but distinct from Western civilization. And somebody who was born in the United States in previous incarnations 3 times, once as a woman, twice as a man, served 2 different wars, same U.S. Army post 7076, 2 different wars, same U.S. Army post 7076, 2 different wars, same U.S. Army post 7076. Here on the toes also got to include marching, not only for others, but also for my 13.3, 13.4 maybe more percent of the North American collective population who are blacks, black men, black women. And you know, I played black, white, and rainbow, but you gotta be 18 if you want to come LOVE, you want to come love with me. Whether you're a man, you're a woman, black, white, or brown, rainbow, whatever. In the Hawk Island, Montreal metropolis, I'm gonna ask your ID card. It's gonna card you just like the bartender of the club, and gonna card you just like a bartender of a club. Gonna card you just like when you buy cigarettes or alcohol, or here in Canada, coast to coast is legal cannabis. And speaking of coast to coast, and of course I gotta march also for my brothers and sisters who are blacks, include you all also in my marches, you know, because we're a new collective. And you see what's happening overseas. There are sectarian conflicts, and Dragon Army doesn't play that. Dragon Army doesn't play that. But we're Dragon Army, we're gonna ensure freedom, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. As I get a little bit of twist my hips, just gonna spend a minute here, maybe 3, just to shake my hips left or right and meditate on the sunset and give us some of that rock and roll. And of course I gotta include my brothers and sisters again, you know, who are blacks. My brothers and sisters who are black, you know, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, North Americans unite, and all who come to join us. All who come to join us in the collective. And I cannot venture out again more further down, because see, after that there's like private property. So now I'm still in the public property section. So that's what I gotta do. And I gotta give some salutation to the railway conductors, to the bakers, the butchers, the nurses, the doctors, the grocery store clerks, all involved in the production, distribution of food. What a beautiful sunset. The sun is always setting, always rising, always now on that west coast, California, British Columbia. Now it's -3 hours, so they still have a few hours of sunlight, but the sun is always setting and always rising. And every second there's a sunset and a sunrise in the world. Every second there's a sunset and a sunrise. Every second there's a sunset and a sunrise in the world. Every second there's a sunset and a sunrise. That's my King the Pope. Bury me with Papa Crowley up in New Jersey. Bury a third of me with Papa Crowley up in Hampton, New Jersey. A third of me up in Mount Royal, at the back of the Chalet Belvedere. And a third of me sitting at the City of the Pyramids, and the City of the Pyramids, City of the Pyramids, City of the Pyramids. So that's it, that's all with that. A third of me, Hampton, New Jersey. A third of me back at the Belvedere, conjuring out at the mountain, Mount Royal, my second home. And a third of me sending the City of the Pyramids. So a third of me, 1/3, send at the City of the Pyramids, where those pyramids were my past life's incarnation home, the temples and tombs, the pyramids. 1/3 of me, Hampton, New Jersey, and 1/3 of me here in the Mount Royal. And the sun sets, sun rises, and we gotta have some justice, you know. And my brothers and sisters across Canada, US, who've been incarcerated, we're gonna work something out to put them to build those 44 tunnels, to build those 44 tunnels based on my protocols, which of course I've written back about 7+ years ago. The North American Private-Public Partnership Citizen Act for the rehabilitation of the North American incarcerated population, the rehabilitation of the North American incarcerated population, the rehabilitation for the North American incarcerated population. And I'm just gonna sing some Telemic rights. Abracadabra. That's it with that. We're gonna go back now. We're gonna not back to my headquarters because it's gonna be a 4-hour minimum. It's Monday, February 17, and I gotta discuss that DRT. But before I do, I want to say again, grateful, thankful, rent's paid, electricity bills paid. Got food and coffee. I was blessed to see a sunset, red in rising, red in setting, my favorite color, red in rising, red in setting, my favorite color, red in rising, red in setting. Put some black and white and blue in it, red in rising, red in setting, and that's what it is with that. So red in rising, red in setting, so that's how we gotta get doing with that. So being that, of course, we are here, you know, the North American Collective, we gotta get for that North American Collective with that. So that's what we gotta get on that implementation, you know, as we are here, we gotta get that DRT, that profusion theory, for the creation of the universal exchange unit, and that's what we gotta get doing for the new 911 North American Integrated Dragon Army protocols, which I've written theoretical papers a few years ago based on several levels of analysis where we're gonna need to integrate and, of course, to create new institutions such as the two public-private partnership institutions, the Dragon Army, North American Integrated Dance League, and establish 51 legions across the North American Collective, and the DGA, Dancing Goddess Army, the North American Integrated Dance League, the North American Integrated Dance League, the North American Integrated Dance League. That's all we need to do, and that's how we need to get rolling with the ball, and that's how we need to get on that do, you know. So it's always something which we gotta be mindful of here. And I see that the ducks, oh my goodness, no Mother Nature, they're returning. Oh, they're returning from the south. See? Yes. There they are. See? They're coming back from the south. They're coming back. Look at that. They are coming back. That is their return. Welcome back home to your second home, I guess. Just like I got and I always will have. The second home is Mount Royal. And where I live now in Dragon's Lair, you know, I left a very moldy place, and sick and diseased and depressed, suicidal. I crossed Canada coast to coast. I crossed Canada coast to coast. I crossed Canada coast to coast, and crossing Canada coast to coast. When I crossed Canada coast to coast, you know, crossed Canada coast to coast, and having crossed Canada coast to coast, that event, of course, crossing Canada coast to coast, made me establish a strong esprit de corps, made me establish a strong esprit de corps, made me establish a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians, and Canadians, Quebecers, and Canadian Quebecers, myself included, and my brothers and sisters in the USA as well. But as much as I am a world peace citizen, a world peace advocate, and a world citizen of the world, I know North America, and especially Montreal, and my second home, Mount Royal, and wherever I would live, that'll always be my second home, Mount Royal, atop the Belvedere, the Mountain Mount Royal, the Three Peaks mountain system, which has 3 peaks, and the city of the pyramid. So I guess I got 3 homes, you know. But I rent, so I gotta not complain about rent, because I am grateful that I pay okay rent, so pay good rent, and I can afford it for now. So I just live a simple, austere, severe lifestyle. Suffered, struggled, had employments which I loved, especially during COVID, and had employments which I loved, you know, like with the elders, CSSLDs, with the elders, CSSLDs with the elders, and CSSLDs with the elders, the CSSLD, the elders, and had employments which I really loved in steel and metal, also during COVID, and now a warehouse during COVID, and before that many employments and contract based, and the environmental on the compost, so, and many other employments. Is just with Asperger's, you know, it has been mostly temporary part-time work, stuff like that. So it's something which I gotta be mindful about that. So it's something which I gotta be putting on the transgression side. Gotta be putting on the transgression side. Putting on the transgression side with that. So that's all we gotta get doing with that. And I think I saw a rabbit, and it's always something which we gotta be grateful for, living for today. Ever since I survived COVID, living for today, you know. Ever since I survived COVID, you know, I'm living for today. Ever since I survived COVID, and I have hope for tomorrow. Now I'm going to discuss soon the DRT, debt refusion theory. Again, sending some love to the states affected: Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and the Midwest, and many states which were severely afflicted by storms and tornadoes. And last time I checked, it was 44 fatalities, casualties, and lots of destruction. And I need to get that 51 legions, part of a dragon army, 1 legion for each state. 1 legion for each state. So they're calling for mobilization by 1%, maybe also from existing security forces, police forces, armed forces, military police, to create this new 21st century Dragon Army North America based on my philosophies and my protocols, which are ongoing since the past years, especially during COVID, which will continue in the coming days, weeks, and months ahead. The debt refusion theory, DRT, debt refusion theory. It's time for me to discuss it before I forget. And of course, I'm going to make the statement. That it is the only solution at the current, much of the public and private financial systems where we are now is the only solution of where we are now in this March 17, 2025. So, or something very similar. If not, my debt refusion theory, the DRT, which also includes monetary integration theory, which is the financial theory which was implemented in the European Union. If not my DRT theory specifically, something which resembles my debt refusion theory very much to the core, fundamentally. The essence of my debt refusion theory, the DRT, which comes again out of the curse of Asperger's, comes with some blessings. And you know, having that, I have geopolitics as my special interest, also known as obsessive interest, for people who are neurodivergent, who live with HFA, high functioning autism, Aspies like myself. So that is what it is with that, and that's what we got to get doing with that. So the debt refusion theory is going to fundamentally have to be implemented. And why do I make the statement that it has to be implemented? That my theory is one of the theories which can salvage where we are now with the current financial situation. Well, due to the fact that last year, fiscal year 2024, we paid on the Canadian public debt 46.5 billion in interest. 46.5 billion in interest. 46.5 billion in interest. That is 46,000 million. And the number prior to that, 3 years before that, the fiscal year 2020-2021, the number was 20.3 billion. 20.3 billion. 20.3 billion is 20,300 million. 20,300 million. 20,300 million. 20,300 million. That is the number, 20,300 million. So you can make the calculations from 20.3 double, that's 40.6. 20.3 double, that's 40.6. 20.3 double is 40.6. So the number is 46.5. So it's more than double. Just debt servicing. Just servicing the debt, just the interest on the public debt of Canada. A billion, 1 billion has 9 zeros. A billion is 1,000 million, a billion is 1,000 million, a billion is 1,000 million. So that is a super huge mega number. The interest has more than doubled in 3 years. But of course, the GDP of Canada, the economy of Canada, has not doubled. That is the problem. The economy of Canada has not doubled. Right? That's where the problem lies. Just as an individual, let's say, for mathematical principium calculations, that let's say citizen X or Y or Z, whatever, A, B, C, whatever citizen, W, whatever case you want, a citizen whose debt charges, whose interests go on the credit cards. Personally, I do not have credit cards myself. So I don't have credit cards, I have a credit line. I have a credit line, I don't have interest. But imagine that the person's interest payments go from 20, let's say from $156. I pay, by the way, less than 11%. I got $10,000 in debt, me. $10,000 I owe to the RBC, Royal Bank of Canada. I showed it on my past videos. You can check my hundreds of videos online, whatever the case may be. So I have less than 10,000. I have $10,000 in debt, but I pay less than 11% in interest, about 10.67. So less, almost 11. We can round it up to 11. So I don't have credit cards, but let's say somebody who does have credit cards, or myself, if my interest payments would have more than doubled, right, annually, that means that myself included, I would have, without salary doubling or whatever support I get, financial support, then I would have had to reduce the spending. And let's say an individual citizen who has credit cards, his credit payments go from 2020, 2021, she or they had to pay $156. If it goes from $156 to $333. If it goes from $156 to $333. If the interest payments go from $156 to $333, from $156 to $333, from $156 to $333, that's more than double. Then that individual, because how many salaries doubled? It can only be maintained if that individual also salary doubles. So it can be maintained, the same lifestyle, the same continuity of paying this amount of interest, if the salary doubles. But if the interest payments have doubled in 3 years, and the citizen's salary only increases 5, 10, let's say 15%, how many salaries have doubled? How many salaries have doubled? How many salaries that that have doubled? Not a lot. Sure, some people became wealthy. Some people went bankrupt. I have been financially struggling, stressed, even today. The nice blue jacket, I'm assuming I think it was second hand, but my anonymous friend picked a good one. When I started wearing it, it felt like it was new. It felt like it was new. For me it was, because it's really nice, and I'm auctioning it for $1 million. But if the interest, to give half, 50% to my anonymous friend, if the interest payments double, then the individual citizen has to cut the spending, because it cannot be maintained. And the average salaries in Canada or North America in the past 5 years, from 2020 to 2025, the average salary increase has been 4.4%. So 4.4% only average salary increase in the past 5 years. And there have been many labor movements have been. But nonetheless, whatever the case may be, stars appearing. Where's Orion? Oh, Orion right to my left. Correction, to my right side. That means that Scorpio, I see Antares. Scorpio's right to my left. Exactly to my left hand is Scorpio. There's Orion, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 3 in the middle, 3 stars in the middle, and the 4 to my right hand. And right there's the Scorpio, like that. Scorpio, the constellations. So to my left hand, so that's north where the sunset is, west, northwest. So I marched northwest. Now I'm gonna march south. Now I'm marching south, and Orion's to my right and Scorpio's to my left. Anyways, the DRT theory, back to the debt refusion theory. So the mathematical financial principle is that an individual whose interest payments double, right? If the individual's interest payments double, right? Let's say the payments the payments double. If the payments double from 156 to 333, from 156 to 303, let's say they jump from 156 to 333, that automatically means that an individual has to reduce the spending, because the same amount of spending cannot be kept, right? If the interest payments double, one can be in trouble financially. It could be that it's approaching bankruptcy, or that bankruptcy is the next move. Bankruptcy. It could happen that a citizen goes bankrupt. Straight now. A citizen goes bankrupt. It's possible that a citizen goes bankrupt because the amount, it cannot be sustained. Again, there's no sustaining the amount of payments. The interest cannot be sustained. So only if the salary doubles, then one can sustain it, or another source of income, another inheritance or whatever. So if the salary only increases by 5, 10, 15% and the interest doubles, unless that's out of budgeting, but normally that's kind of how many people are now, eh? And record credit card debt and record interest for not just Canada, but Canada, US, we're very similar, parallel, fundamental, similar, parallel situation. Canada, Canadians, and my brothers and sisters in the USA in these matters, financially, many are stressed, eh? The past years has been like disappearing. The middle class, where's the middle class at? Where's the middle class? So many are living paycheck to paycheck. Myself, financially stressed. I live basically day to day, almost like say. Well, not really, because I do budget, but I budget with a small budget. So I live an austere, severe 21st century Spartan rainbow dragon lifestyle, though. Very physically active, very artistic, and very Aspie-esque. I just do, and I'm engaged in those, my trinity of special interest, aka obsessive interest, 24/7 and many hours a day, spent involved in geopolitical theoretical analysis, or geopolitical analytical theorizing, or geopolitical analysis. Rock and roll, meaning as an artist work, and the sports and fitness and dancing. Dancing is my favorite sport and fitness activity. Even now I'm busting a dance move with my feet, my toes, my ankles, my tongue, my earbrows, my toes, my feet, my whatever I got, all the body, I guess. So dangling a little bit on the left and doing some choreography with the cars, dancing cars in my head. So the DRT debt fusion theory, is the solution, or something very similar to it. And again, the GDP of Canada has not doubled, while the salary has doubled. Correction. While the payments of the interest have doubled. It's just like a salary, the GDP. The GDP is just like a salary. So the GDP of Canada only increased a few percentages, eh? It takes sometimes decades for a GDP to double. In China, it took about 44 years. 44 years, other countries as well. So there's no way out of this, but my debt refusion theory, we're on the brink. It could happen tomorrow that there's a public financial collapse. It could happen tomorrow that there's a public financial collapse. So it could happen tomorrow that there is a public financial collapse tomorrow. A public financial collapse tomorrow. A public financial collapse tomorrow. There's a public financial collapse tomorrow. There's a public financial collapse. It's possible that we're approaching a public financial collapse. It's possible that there's a public financial collapse. There's a public financial collapse. So it's possible that that's what's going to happen with that. So a public financial collapse is a fundamental possibility, that it's on the horizon. It's on the horizon with that. So the public financial collapse, it's possibility on the horizon. So basically we're going to take all the public and the private debt. All the public and the private debt. All the public and the private debt. We're going to take all the public and the private debt. All the public and the private debt. But again, why do I make the statement that is the only solution or something similar? Due to the fact that the interest payments have doubled. The interest payments have doubled. So that's how we gotta get doing with that. So the fact that the interest payments have doubled, That is what it is. The interest payments have more than doubled from 20.3, double would have been 40.6 to 46.5. So the interest payments have more than doubled. That's the motive, the reason why I'm making that statement, that my debt refusion theory, which integrates in it the monetary integration theory, is the only solution, or something similar. There's no way out of this. No way out of this. No way. Tomorrow we can wake up to a public financial collapse, a black swan, a worst case scenario, a black swan. We can wake up to breaking news, a public financial collapse of Canada, because it's not sustainable. What are we going to reduce? The police, the RCMP. You're going to have riots, man. Riots. You're going to have riots. You're going to have riots. You're going to have riots, you know. Speaking of the devil, somebody gonna sing that rock and roll for the boys and girls in blue. They also got to have families, they gotta eat, they got families, you know. What are we gonna cut? The police. The what are we gonna reduce? The prisons. The incarcerated population. I'd rather be putting them to work for those 44 tunnels to get them on that dragon army. 44 tunnels, you know. To get them on that dragon army, to build those 44 tunnels, you know. That's all we gotta get doing with that. To build those 44 tunnels. 44 tunnels, you know. So that's all we gotta get doing with that. To build and construct those 44 tunnels. 44 tunnels, that's all we gotta be doing. Because, hey, there's no way out of this. We're gonna have riots. Already the RCMP has warned last year, sent a memo to Justin Trudeau that broke Canadian, even made international news. Vian, World is One News, we have Vian, which I do geopolitical analysis on to take their perspectives, and I also watch foreign outside of the North American Collective. When I say foreign, I refer to outside of North America that are not Quebecer, Canadian, United States, Canada, Quebec, I consider local. When I say local, I usually refer to North America, not exactly just Canada, Quebec, but to North America, including Mexico. So I watch Mexico as well. Vian is World is One. And a few months ago, there was in the news that the RCMP, which is the federal police here, which is, I guess, soon to become the reform part of the 51st Legion, still the same functions, but to become a Republican style guard for defense security, the Canadian Police, Canadian State Police, CSP. As before, the RCMP was known as something else, but that's what it is with that, you know. For King is absent. So the memo was, of course, to Justin Trudeau that was broke and angry Canadians are planning unrest and riots, because they realize how many Canadians are broke, myself included. Many Canadians are broke, and there's a lot of discontent of where the country has headed in the past, especially in the past 44 plus months, I guess. During COVID, it was a tough time. Blaming games is not the game that I, as an Aspie neurodivergent, totally understand. I just present solutions and sometimes Aspies were straightforward and direct and seem rude and abrasive, but it's not. It's just because how we are in many regards. We can be very good in our special interest, and I predicted the geopolitical situation that's happening now, and I present on the table the trinity of theories, of which of course is the DRT, the debt refusion theory, you know, for the creation of the UE. So that's what it is now. And you know, mortgages also, I'm thinking about the houses and mortgages. A lot of people are missing their mortgage payments. Mortgage, Canada, US mortgage payments is tough. It's tough. You know, and we gotta do something. You know, we just gotta do something. Sometimes in the centrist public-private partnership best, and again the amount of interest skyrocketed. So it's so big and so large. Last year was double. So that's 46.5 billion. Is 46,000 million. A billion has 9 zeros. So you realize that has to be cut in the public sector, public services. So we can start tomorrow Could start next day or the day thereafter. Spring on the 20th of March. 20th of March, and it could be next week if not, and whatever the case may be. It could be whatever the case may be, but that's what it is with that. So that's what we gotta get doing with that. And sometimes what you gotta meditate, and sometimes what you gotta be doing, you know. So sometimes what you gotta be on the assessment side, and that's what we gotta be doing with that, and that's what we gotta go on the XYZ, you know. So the debt refusion theory, the debt refusion theory, we gotta get it on the go. So the DRT, debt refusion theory, the debt refusion theory for the creation of the UE, the universal exchange. So the DRT is the only solution, Debt refusion theory includes monetary integration theory. We're going to take all the public and the private debt. And again, because my DRT theory includes monetary integration theory is the financial theory which was implemented in the European Union. The Germans destroyed their national central banks, the Italians, all the French. Many countries in Europe, they destroyed and they annulled. They destroyed their own central banks and they annulled their common currency. They no longer have national currencies. They no longer have national central banks as we do the Bank of Canada. And for the most, the Federal Reserve also acts as a central bank. But in Europe, they destroyed their national central banks in the 90s and they have a common multinational central banks, the ECB, European Central Bank, which acts as a multinational central bank and issues the euro. So we're going to take all the public and the private debt. This is the DRT explained. My 10,000 to the RBC included. Your debt, our debt, my debt, all the debt. I have a debt to the RBC, Royal Bank of Canada. So my debt, your debt, our debt, all the debt, public and private debt, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, all the public and the private debt, we're going to convert it into US dollar. The public private debt of Canada, convert it into US dollars. That money, we're going to add it with the US. And my DRT theory, I call it for the implementation to be implemented simultaneously across North America, to be implemented simultaneously across North America, simultaneously across North America. I love that red. Let's check some books. I love this. It's a nice concept, but people have to take care of it. And see, it opens there. Let's see. Gotta not forget to close it back, and gonna discuss the DRT. I just want to take a look of what's in it here. Netflix. I got Netflix in the end of March. I might take it for April. I have so many books, I have to give up some of mine, but this seems very interesting. Short fiction. I read tens of thousands of books. I spent many years with one foot in the streets, one foot in the libraries. I spent many years with one foot in the streets, one foot in the libraries, one foot in the streets, one foot in the library, one foot in the streets, one foot in the library. And I've written tens of thousands of pages of philosophies, poetry, rock and roll songs, of which my DRT theory comes from a book. I gotta give a shout out again to an anonymous friend acquaintance. Well, a few years ago, I believe in 2018, holidays 2018, so more than 6 years ago, almost 7, not almost, but 6 years ago, more than 6 years ago, gifted me a book. It was a bit conspiratorial, a bit on the conspiracy theory side, but nonetheless, it had great financial history, economic, financial, banking, commercial history, everything to do with finance, banking, commercial history, everything to do with banking, commercial, financial history. And it was the banking financial history, and of course the banking financial history of mostly the world, but focusing on ancient Egypt, ancient Sumer, Babylon, Sumer was before Babylon, ancient civilization, and ancient China, ancient India, and the British Empire, and it focused a lot on the great financial crisis of 2007-2010. The great financial crisis which occurred between 2007 and 2010 was a major point of discussion. It was a bit on the conspiratorial side, which I'm not a big fan of conspiracy theories, nothing like that personally, but in it, of course, it included in it several layers of fundamental important financial matters, of which partially this book, and I've read it like 7 times. I've written on it. I had to throw it away and recycle it because it was too much. I couldn't. At one point, I just wrote on it and read it. It was like almost like rendered useless. I used it to the final drop, I guess. To the final drop when I read it and reread it while taking baths, while baiting. So I took it and read it and took it and read it, and that's how we gotta go get it on that, and read it and gotta get it on that go. So that's how we gotta get doing on the XYZ. So that's how we gotta get doing on that, and that's how we gotta get a little credit to my anonymous acquaintance friend, and hope that person gets some LOVE, love, health, and wealth. Love, health, and wealth, I guess. But partially, paradoxically, that book, partially, I would say up to a third, was inspired by that book. So the DRT theory explained. So we're going to take all the private and the public debt, my debt, your debt, our debt, and I'm just going to hydrate a bit before I go into a more in-depth discussion. So we're going to take all the public and the private debt, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, convert it into US dollars, add it with the US, because my DRT theory is calling to be implemented simultaneously, Canada, US, all the public and private debt, converted into US dollars, that money converted to US dollars, added with the US, is going to be the initial money supply for a new central bank. We're going to issue a new currency called the UE, based on the value of the US dollar. So we're going to issue a new currency called the UE. I'm just going to hydrate. Thank you, workers who build this. Imagine just to have water here, the building of the water here is. Imagine all the work, labor underneath. Thank you, public workers, and it's time for me to hydrate. I'm going to continue the DRT theory. HYDRAD. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that was so good. Oh, my God. Thank you, workers. Imagine it took brains and muscle to build that, and here we got it. I will to paint these walls. Will to paint these walls. These walls. Some red, some blue, some green, some rainbow, black, white, and rainbow blue. Just bring me the tools, bring me the permission, and I'll paint. It'll be a volunteer work, because I love volunteering, and there's a lot of work we need to be doing by implementing my DRT theory. It's just so great. I'm great, so great. Here, I'm sure a little color put on the walls brings so much joy to especially the youth, the children, and even all ages. I'm not sure it's an age thing, or make it bring the youth so they can put some paint and embellishment of the public, and we got to do public education, because my dream is part of a public-private partnership. My dream is part of a public-private partnership. My dream is part of a public-private partnership. It's part of a public-private partnership. My dream is part of a public-private partnership. Everything that I do is fundamentally a call for a public-private partnership. Public-private partnership. So there we go, and now we gotta go do it. I just gotta drop a little bit of garbage, and then off we go, south, south, south. And to my left, it's gonna be Scorpio, and to my right is gonna be D. Just gonna take the time and head off and continue to discuss, of course, the DRT, debt refusion theory, DRT, the debt refusion theory, DRT, debt refusion theory. So DRT, debt refusion theory, again, contains monetary integration. We're going to take all the public and the private debt, all the public and the private debt, all the public and the private debt. We're going to be converting it to US dollar, add it up. All the money is going to create a new currency based on the value of the US dollar. We're going to call it the UE. U dot universal, E dot exchange unit. U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit. U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit. The UE, the UE, the UE, it's 813. 813, 813. So we're going to create the UE, the universal exchange unit, the UE, the UE, the UE. The UE is going to have the value of the US dollar. The UE is going to have the value of the US dollar, So all the money which is going to be in circulation is going to be the universal exchange unit, the UE. The UE, the UE, the UE. So all the money which is going to be in circulation is going to be the public and the private debt, which we're going to convert all the public and the private debt from Canadian dollars to US dollars, add it together with the US simultaneously, implement my theory simultaneously, Canada, US. With that money, we're going to mass finance citizens' fitness, mass finance the building of those 44 tunnels across North America for the continuity of the civilizational complex, survival and continuity of the North American civilizational complex in case of a thermonuclear war. So that's what we're going to be doing with that, and that's what we're going to be drilling, and that's how we're going to be sending some of that good LOV with that. So that's always something which we're going to do, create the UE, mass finance citizens fitness, mass finance people to work out, mass finance citizens to work out, to train, to exercise, and that's all we're gonna be doing with that, mass fitness, mass exercising, and turn your heads left and right before you cross the street, and create the UE, the universal exchange unit based on the US dollar, and mass rebuild the ghettos of the North American Collective, the urban cities of the North America, mass rebuild the urban cities, mass finance citizens fitness, mass finance tourism, because it did me lots of good crossing Canada coast to coast, crossing Canada coast to coast, made me come out of being depressed and suicidal. So I give a shout out to my anonymous friend, because I did 2 loads of laundry today. I used to do laundry right there. Last time we checked, it's still open, I think, until 9, until 10. So that's what we're gonna get doing with that, and that's what we're gonna get doing on that day. See, there it is, the laundromat right there. I used to do laundry right there, so that's what we gotta get doing with that, so it's something which we gotta be. See, this one, I would like to invest in it. I would like to invest in this one right here, do some good investments, but now I'm financially stressed, so don't got those tools, and no, that's how we gotta get it on the love, so here we are on that XYZ, and that's how we gotta get doing, here we are with that collective, and sometimes gotta be grateful, because I got a laundry machine, washer, and a dryer. And for many years, I used to go right there, what I showed you right at the corner there. I used to do a lot of laundry, because this is my neighborhood, not my own neighborhood, this is my part of my new neighborhood. I used to do a lot of laundry right there, so something which of course I gotta take for appreciation, take for that appreciation, because sometimes we just gotta appreciate things we have, and civilization being a privilege. And the DRT, my debt refusion theory, comes out of the curse of having Asperger's. But see, I have this theory which will fundamentally save Canada and United States, because we are on a financial catastrophe precipice. Could start as soon as tomorrow. Maybe the stock market crash will continue. Maybe the stock market crash will continue. It's possible that the stock market continues to crash. So it's possible that the stock market continues to crash tomorrow. It could be a public black swan event, but black swan for the public financial system of Canada. But my debt refusion theory best. Gonna take all the public and the private debt. We're gonna create the UE, the universal exchange, and with that money, we're gonna be doing lots of good. We're gonna be able to finance citizens to work out, to train, to exercise, stuff like that. So lots of things we're gonna be able to do. Oh, I'm gonna cross the street here. To the left, Gonna cross the street here, man. 14, 13, 12. Got plenty of time, and it's something which we gotta be on the doing, something which we gotta be meditating, Gotta cross that street sometimes. Be prudent there, when you cross the street, the brakes malfunction, and what if the citizen presses the accelerator instead of the brake, eh? Sometimes I think about that. Think about citizen pressing the accelerator instead of the death, Sometimes, you just gotta be prudent, Just gotta be prudent. Just gotta be prudent, That's what we gotta be doing, Prudence. Not really paranoia though, right? Because it's possible. I mean, there's not that many chances, but the citizen driver might press the accelerator instead of the brake. So even if it's a green light for you to pass pedestrian, I would recommend you turn your heads left and right. So the debt refusion theory, DRT debt refusion theory for the creation of the UE is what's best, what's best for us now, as we are on this consequential time geopolitically worldwide, and you see what's happening, eh? With all the sectarian conflicts, sectarian warfare. Here in the North American Collective, we got no part of that. Dragon Army has no part of that, and we're gonna ensure freedom. I think this building here, it's a bit dark and there's no light, but this could be plenty of barracks, which we could use for barracks, for training. And with the creation of the UE, by implementing my debt refusion theory, the beauty of it is that we're going to be able to mass finance citizens, mass finance citizens to work out, train, exercise. Mass finance citizens to work out, train, exercise. So we're going to be able to mass finance citizens to work out, to train, to exercise, and that's how we're going to be able to do, because I cross Canada coast to coast, and when I cross Canada coast to coast, ocean to ocean, that's when I got out of being depressed, being suicidal. So it did me a lot of good, and sometimes you just got to get a little bit of that justice in whatever shape, form you think you have, and that's what we're going to do a little bit, rebuild the North American infrastructure, the North American ghettos, the urban cities, and mass finance citizens to work out, mass finance citizens to train, mass finance citizens to exercise, mass finance fitness, mass finance citizens to work out, mass finance citizens to train. That's how we're going to be doing, and that's how we got to be doing on that, and that's how we got to have to be doing on the LOV side of things, as we are here, on this collective. And we got to pledge your allegiance to our family, pledge your allegiance. Our family pledge your allegiance, our family, and we gotta get on that rock and roll. I know somebody making that LOVE, somebody hugging, somebody twerking, somebody flipping burgers now, getting some fast food joints, somebody buying some of that depreneur good, 7-Eleven, whatever, buying some whatever, someone doing, watching some of that news, watching some Trump, watching some whatever. He's been watching one of my videos, maybe on YouTube. One of those rock and roll gets more views. My short, brief rock and roll spiral to these marches only get 0 views. But I just do because that's my work right now as an Aspie. Got an Asperger's, Aspie artist, athlete, philosopher, independent, geopolitical, theoretical analyst, and theorist, and yours truly, mystic, androgynous, pansexual, get that 50-50, rainbow dragon, rock and roll for the farmers, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks, LOVE. The DRT, debt refusion theory, is the only solution, and that's the solution. So again, I'm going to revise it, and then I'm going to switch to that French. So we're going to take all the public and the private debt, my 10,000 to the RBC included, Canada coast to coast. All that debt, we're going to convert it into US dollars, add it with the US, and then it can be extended, of course, to Mexico, to whatever countries of the North American civilizational complex. Haiti. Cuba is a paradox, but they're part of North America. So to the North American countries. So all the debt converted to US dollar is going to be the initial money supply for a new central bank. We're going to create the UE. There's Scorpio constellation, U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit, and there's Orion. U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit. Universal exchange is Sagittarius and Leo with the UE, the universal U dot E dot exchange U dot unit. The universal exchange is going to be the new currency. The value of the US, the universal exchange unit, the new currency called the UE, which we're going to put into circulation like the European Union, but for the North American Collective, which is going to have the value of the US dollar, and it's going to have the value of the US dollar. And of course, we're going to set an interest rate level of 10%, 10% maximum, 10% maximum after that on all loans. It's not going to be able to be higher than 10%. That's going to be the new principle. New principle is going to be 10%, 10%, 10%, 10%, 10%, 10%, 10%, 10% of maximum interest rate levels after that. 10% maximum interest rate level after that. 10% maximum interest rate levels. 10% maximum interest rate levels. 10% after that. 10% maximum interest rate. There's not going to be able to be higher than that. Higher than 10%. Higher than 10% is not going to be able to be higher than 10%, which is going to be the maximum interest rate levels of 10% after that. 10%. It's going to be below 10%, yes, but not higher. And with all that money, we're going to build those 44 tunnels, build more hydroelectric dams, rebuild the North American collective infrastructure, rebuild the North American infrastructure, the highways, the bridges, mass finance citizens to work out, train, exercise, mass finance citizens to work out, train, exercise, mass finance citizens to work out, to train, to exercise, mass finance citizens to work out, to train, to exercise, mass finance fitness, mass finance citizens to work out, to train, to exercise, mass finance fitness, mass finance citizens fitness activity, citizens tourism, because it works wonders for the mental health and for establishing a strong esprit de corps. Just like myself, when I crossed Canada in 2017 coast to coast, I established a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians. So that's what we're gonna do. Establish that, and that's what we gotta get doing with that. And we gotta establish that, establish the 51 legions across North America. Each legion, each state for the North American Collective, the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom, and mass finance citizens fitness, build those 44 tunnels, rebuild the infrastructure, build more hydroelectric dams, and implement Operation Northern Scorpion, Go train conductors, LOVE. See how my mind, because I have Asperger's and geopolitics, is my special interest. I always integrate now with the geopolitical analysis, knowing that train and other trains, freight trains which carry our goods, and highways are open for potential sabotage and espionage, So always got to get that with that. So that's what we got to get doing, and And so we gotta get on that philosophy now, you know, on that train, and we gotta switch it a little bit of that French, because we here in la belle province. So pledge your allegiance, legions to our family, and Dragon Army established 51 legions in the 21st century. Pledge your allegiance, legions to our family, pledge your allegiance, legions to our family. Rock and roll for French, le français. Bienvenue à cette marche où je célèbre encore une fois jusqu'à la fin du mois de mars. On est le 17 mars, lundi, et je dois commencer avec la gratitude. Gratitude, j'ai payé mon loyer, j'ai payé ma facture d'électricité, j'ai du café, j'ai du thé, puis bien sûr, l'entraînement physique, c'est quelque chose que je vous encourage, Québécoises, à faire le plus possible que vous pouvez le faire, bien sûr. C'est dans un environnement que je dois vous dire, bien sûr, dans cet environnement de crise, de géopolitique, puis même financier, économique, moi-même. Je dois dire ma gratitude quand même, mais j'ai payé mon loyer, j'ai payé ma facture d'électricité, j'ai du café et du thé, mais... puis pas beaucoup d'argent, mais je vais pouvoir m'acheter des gaufres, peut-être, peut-être pas. Je vais devoir voir, mais on est le 17 mars, puis je vous encourage à faire de l'entraînement physique, puis l'entraînement physique sera ma médecine et thérapie de choix. Et bien sûr, rock'n'roll! Rock'n'roll pour en faire, bien sûr, dans cet environnement, que ça soit, bien sûr, dans ce climat de tension géopolitique, bien sûr, pour faire que je me dirige vers le sud. Là, je me dirige vers le sud, fait que ça, c'est le nord en arrière de moi, fait que là, je me dirige vers le sud, puis je viens de voir les constellations, le Scorpion. Puis là-bas, je viens de voir, bien sûr, Orion. Fait qu'en me dirigeant, bien sûr, dans cet environnement, je pense, bien sûr, à vous encourager à faire l'entraînement physique. C'est ça que je suis parti pour, de ma chambre, de ma grotte de dragon arc-en-ciel aujourd'hui. En saluant les camionneurs, les infirmières, les docteurs, les boulangers, ceux qui sont dans les épiceries. Bien sûr, moi, en tant qu'autiste, moment fonctionnel que je vis avec l'Asperger's, puis bien sûr, je suis un analyste et théoricien en géopolitique qui a prévu la situation qui se déroule en ce moment. Puis genre, vous disais en tant que citoyen que le roi est absent, c'est le temps pour la République, c'est le temps pour une union parallèlement avec les États-Unis, bien sûr, en forme, en conséquence par un partenariat public-privé, puis bien sûr en faisant l'implémentation de ma trinité de théories, la théorie d'intégration citoyenne, la théorie de la refusion de la dette et la théorie d'intégration citoyenne parallèlement pour la création de deux nouvelles institutions qui sont fondamentalement de partenariat public-privé en étant mon rêve. Quand je dis prêter allégeance, légion, vous êtes famille, mais c'est mon rêve pour le complexe de civilisation de l'Amérique du Nord, pour l'Amérique du Nord. Parce que corps est dû au fait qu'on constitue un collectif de civilisation émergent. Un collectif de civilisation émergent. Donc, moi-même, en tant que Québécois-Canadien, faisant ainsi, bien sûr, pour les boulangers, les infirmières, les camionneurs sur la route, en checkant tous ces privilèges, bien sûr, tous ces privilèges qu'on a ici, les autoroutes, l'Hydro-Québec, je dois envoyer un peu d'amour de rock'n'roll de votre regard arc-en-ciel, là. Aïe, là, ça coule, là, puis ça donne de l'électricité, c'est un miracle. C'est pas un miracle dans le sens, mais c'est quand même la science, mais on peut dire quand même un miracle de la nature puis de la science ensemble, parce que, tu sais, des fois la spiritualité, puis bien sûr, moi j'ai des questions, en étant mystique moi-même, j'ai pas toutes les réponses. Je vous chante du rock'n'roll, je dis, je connais pas les réponses, mais je peux vous en chanter une chanson de rock'n'roll spirituel, si vous voulez, avec des châteaux et des bisous et des câlins. Puis mon pape, c'est le soleil, fait que j'ai pas toutes les réponses. Il y a tellement de choses que je sais pas, tu sais. Tellement de choses que je sais pas. Je sais moi-même, mon expérience en tant que Québécois, Canadien, Nord-Américain, puis bien sûr en étant un individu qui vit avec une condition de neurodivergence connue comme l'Asperger's, l'autisme moindrement fonctionnel, c'est sûr que j'ai eu quand même la misère, puis j'ai eu quand même des souffrances, puis des choses qui n'ont pas marché, puis bien sûr je vis avec mes cicatrices. Mais aujourd'hui, je célèbre 5 ans en 2020, j'étais fort frappé par la COVID. Je pensais que j'allais mourir, là. C'était comme la mort, la pestilence puis la maladie. C'était comme la mort, la pestilence puis la maladie. C'était comme la mort, la pestilence puis la maladie. Je sais que ça sonne comme une chanson de rock'n'roll heavy metal, tu sais. Une chanson de heavy metal, de trash qu'on appelle rock'n'roll trash metal, là. Ben, c'est comme ça que je me suis ressenti. Puis je dis souvent, je suis mort de la COVID. Mais je suis vraiment mort en 2020. Je dis souvent, je suis en train de renaître parce qu'il n'y a rien que je veux retourner en arrière de moi-même. Tu sais. Je vis avec gratitude au quotidien, mais j'ai de l'espoir pour demain, pour le futur. Ça veut dire que j'ai de l'espoir pour le futur. Puis je suis aussi un philosophe, un artiste, athlète qui chante du rock'n'roll. Puis monsieur, madame, androgyne, pansexuel, ça c'est juste un côté qu'il faut que vous oubliez ou laissez de côté quand je vous discute de la géopolitique, parce que je suis un analyste théoricien en géopolitique, et dû au fait que j'ai l'Asperger's, l'autisme monofonctionnel, les Aspi, nous, les Asperger's, on a des intérêts spéciaux, aussi connus comme des intérêts obsessifs. Fait que ces intérêts spéciaux, aussi connus comme des intérêts obsessifs, ça préoccupe notre travail, notre énergie. On peut être super concentré, super dedans, super intense. Puis des fois, je passe aujourd'hui, j'ai passé comme plus que 6 heures là, en faisant mon lavage. Là, gratitude pour la laveuse puis la sécheuse. Hein. C'est quelque chose que j'ai chez nous, je dois dire de la gratitude pour en avoir parce que, comme j'ai montré tantôt, c'est dans le quartier où je viens de passer auparavant que je faisais mon lavage avant. Fait que je dépensais de l'argent. Fait que maintenant, bien sûr, ça dépense de l'électricité, mais j'ai sauvé de l'argent avec ça parce que ça aurait été une dépense additionnelle. Tu sais. Au moins, je vais aller une fois par semaine. Ça aurait été coûté quand même un moins 10 $, peut-être plus maintenant. Je sais pas si on gardait le même prix, là, parce que ça fait au moins comme 3 ans et demi, plus que 44 mois. C'est 3 ans et demi, je ne suis pas passé. 3 ans et demi, je n'ai pas passé, parce que ça fait plus que 3 ans et demi qu'on a chez nous la laveuse puis la sécheuse. Donc, je dois remercier mon ami anonyme pour avoir ces choses-là, tu sais, dans ma vie, tu sais, j'ai ces choses-là. Fait que c'est toute une gratitude, une gratitude dans ce sens, bien sûr, qu'on peut le faire, tu sais. On peut avoir ces outils de civilisation qui nous rend plus confortable la vie, tu sais, qui nous améliore la vie d'une manière ou quelque que ce soit. Et même si je vis un stress financier, je vis un stress financier en ce moment, les finances, je suis en dette de 10 000, puis bien sûr avec l'emploi, avec l'autisme monofonctionnel, l'Asperger's, ça a été quand même plus difficile de maintenir un emploi à long terme. C'est des fois un couple de semaines, un couple de mois, un couple de semaines, des mois, des semaines, ça a duré, puis ça a été bien sûr des mois, des semaines, puis c'est des choses que ça a été des mois puis des semaines pour vivre avec, mais je vis avec cette condition de neurodivergence, c'est pas une maladie mentale, mais il y a beaucoup de confusion, il y a beaucoup de gens qui le considèrent comme une maladie mentale. C'est pas une maladie dans le sens, maladie mentale dans le sens de, c'est pas une maladie, c'est juste une condition de neurodivergence. Notre cerveau il est fait différemment. Puis en faisant partie de cette minorité, parce qu'il n'y a pas beaucoup de gens qui ont l'Asperger's, hein, c'est une condition assez rare, c'est l'autisme monofonctionnel. C'est le spectre de l'autisme, mais c'est un peu différent des autistes, dans le sens que le cerveau est différent. Fait qu'on a de la misère à se comprendre certaines choses comme les actions de la société, tu sais, ou des fois les conversations, par exemple, pour vous donner concrètement un exemple. L'espace personnel. Moi-même, il faut que j'y travaille, puis ça fait des années que j'y travaille, puis des fois, je le manque. Je m'approche, on a tendance de s'approcher tellement proche de la personne avec laquelle on part, quasiment d'1 pouce, 2 pouces, 3 pouces du visage ou du corps. Fait que, tu sais, c'est sûr que ça peut intimider des gens, mais c'est juste que c'est pas parce qu'on veut, tu sais, intimider des choses, c'est juste que on n'a pas ces choses notre cerveau est fait différemment, fait qu'on a de la misère à comprendre ces choses-là. C'est toujours bâtir des ponts, puis il faut faire un travail exceptionnel. Il faut qu'on travaille super fort pour savoir ces choses, ces normes, ces protocoles de la société, C'est comme dans le social, quand parler, quand se taire, des choses comme ça. C'est l'Asperger, ça peut être difficile pour ceux qui ne le comprennent pas, puis ils font une erreur. Bien des gens font l'erreur de penser que c'est une maladie mentale. Puis c'est pas une maladie mentale, c'est juste cette neurodivergence, ça fait que on a des intérêts spéciaux, on peut être super intense, super dedans, super concentré. Quand j'analyse la géopolitique, comme des fois aujourd'hui, j'ai fait mon lavage, ça a pris 4 heures pour faire mon lavage, plus que 4 heures un peu, fait que pendant plus que 4 heures dans le lavage, puis plus que ça, pendant à peu près plus que 6 heures, en faisant mon lavage, buvant du café, j'ai même préparé mon lunch, pour vous dire, puis je l'ai juste mangé à peu près après 3 heures, puis je l'ai préparé comme à 11 heures, pour midi. Puis tellement j'étais dans le géopolitique, faisant des analyses puis des théories en géopolitique, que je ne l'ai pas mangé jusqu'à plus de 3 heures. Fait que on peut tellement passer du temps intense, concentré, super dedans, dans ces intérêts spéciaux connus comme obsessifs aussi. Mais dire que c'est des intérêts obsessifs, c'est plus négatif. Fait que j'utilise pas le terme obsessif. C'est juste que je passe mes journées passer une routine, un rituel. Mais je peux quand même être flexible. Je peux quand même avoir du changement puis être flexible. Mais il faut qu'au quotidien, il faut que je fasse des analyses en géopolitique. Il faut que je regarde le matin les analyses, les nouvelles, faire une révision, faire des analyses et puis faire en conséquence des révisions avec ma prédiction. Parce qu'en étant analyste et théoricien en géopolitique, j'avais prévu que la situation actuelle, qu'est-ce qu'on vit maintenant? La crise géopolitique mondiale du monde qui peut s'empirer même à minuit ce soir. La Chine, la République populaire de la Chine, fondée par Mao Tse-tung, peut envahir le Taïwan, qui est la petite île, la République de la Chine. Les deux pays ont le nom Chine dedans. C'est un conflit qu'ils n'ont pas été capables de résoudre. Puis moi, en 2019, en octobre et en novembre, j'avais prévu qu'il y aura une conflagration internationale, une troisième guerre mondiale. Puis, fondamentalement, un des objets principaux, un des raisons, motifs principales que j'ai dit, que je fais dans mon analyse, c'était que bien des régions, des nations, des pays, des régions, des États, des civilisations n'ont pas été capables de résoudre leurs problèmes et leurs conflits du 20e siècle, surtout durant la guerre froide, que la guerre froide, ça a duré quasiment 45 ans, entre 1947 et 1991, que ces guerres vont reprendre entre 1947, mars 1947, et décembre 1991. C'est quasiment 45 ans. En enlevant 3 mois, là, c'est quasiment 45, plus que 44. Proche de 45 ans. La guerre froide a duré longtemps. Là. 45 ans, c'est quand même longtemps, plus que 44. Ça a duré la guerre froide. C'était une longue période entre 1947, février-mars, et 1991, soit le 26 décembre, quand l'Union soviétique a eu la dissolution. Bon, fait que moi, j'avais prévu qu'à cause de ça, ces conflits-là vont reprendre. Puis c'est ça qui arrive en Ukraine puis la Russie. C'est des conflits qui datent de la guerre froide, ça. Ils constituent une entité politique. L'Ukraine était unie avec la Russie. Elle a été unie pendant 70 ans, là. Pendant plus que 70 ans. C'est 3 générations, là, qui étaient ensemble dans une entité politique, l'Union soviétique. L'Union soviétique. Bon, puis encore une fois, l'autre, c'est bien sûr le Moyen-Orient. Au Moyen-Orient, Israël puis Palestine. Israël puis Hamas. C'est encore Hamas, ça date des années 80. Hamas, ils ont été fondés durant la guerre froide. Hamas, ils ont été fondés durant la guerre froide. Ils ont juste pris le pouvoir après, en 2007. En 2007, à peu près, ils ont pris le pouvoir. Mais ils n'étaient pas vraiment au pouvoir. C'était Fatah, Yasser Arafat. Fait qu'ils ont été fondés des années 80. Durant la guerre froide. C'est un conflit qu'Israël puis le monde arabe puis la Palestine n'ont pas été capables de résoudre, d'avoir une résolution à long terme. À long terme, puis peut-être pour toujours. Puis c'est ça, potentiellement avec la Chine puis le Taïwan. Mais moi, même si dans le fond, en tant que Québécois, Canadien, Nord-Américain, personnellement, je ne me considère pas un membre d'une diaspora, mais c'est des choses qu'il faut que je dise que même si je connais les conflits, je connais les enjeux, je connais les rencontres, les offres de paix, les ententes, tout ça, qu'est-ce qu'ils ont fait, bien en détail, que si je prends une position, mais ça sert quand même à pas grand-chose, parce que je ne suis pas sur le terrain. Je peux pas dire que j'ai pas 300 hommes et femmes, hommes-femmes, femmes-hommes de 300 pour aller puis dire, on s'en va voir. On s'en va voir. Qu'est-ce qui se passe sur le terrain en Ukraine puis en Russie? Qu'est-ce qui se passe en Israël, vraiment? J'ai jamais vécu là-bas, fait que c'est par l'éducation, par les nouvelles, les documentaires, l'éducation moi-même. Les chaînes de TV, les nouvelles, TVA, CNN, Fox, CBC, CTV, du Québec, du Canada, des États-Unis, 2/3, plus que 66%, c'est 2/3. Puis un tiers, c'est d'autres, parce que je regarde quand même des chaînes d'autres pays sur YouTube, pour faire des analyses plus ouvertes, parce que je suis un citoyen du monde, mais quand même, ça reste que je suis québécois, canadien, nord-américain. Fait que mes initiatives, mon rêve, c'est fondamentalement pour le collectif de civilisation de l'Amérique du Nord. C'est fondamentalement pour le collectif de civilisation de l'Amérique du Nord. C'est fondamentalement pour l'Amérique du Nord. Vous voyez, ça c'est la montagne là-bas. Ma deuxième maison, le Mont-Royal. Ma deuxième maison, le Mont-Royal. Puis là, c'est Montréal. Ma maison dans cette vie, puis dans une autre. Dans une autre, puis dans une vie. C'est quoi sa maison, Jean Lapointe? Là, c'est pour ceux qui, si vous avez des problèmes d'alcool. Puis moi, je suis quelqu'un qui n'aime pas la violence. Hein. J'aime pas la violence. Moi, je n'aime pas la violence, mais je peux être intense. Je peux être super dénant, je peux être super concentré, mais j'aime pas ça, la violence. C'est quelque chose que j'aime pas. La violence. J'aime pas la violence. J'aime pas la violence. Je peux être intense, concentré dedans, puis en géopolitique, je suis un analyste intéressé en géopolitique, indépendant, mais qui a prévu la situation actuelle qui se déroule en ce moment, qui a prévu la situation actuelle qui se déroule en ce moment, qui a prévu la situation actuelle qui se déroule en ce moment, qui se déroule en ce moment, qui se déroule en ce moment. Fait que dans ce sens propre de la terminologie, en étant un analyste intéressé en géopolitique indépendant, ça fait que 10 ans que j'ai prévu qu'est-ce qui se passe maintenant, en 2019, mes initiatives, mes protocoles sont fondamentalement une réponse, mais une réponse vis-à-vis le collectif de l'Amérique du Nord. Parce que même si je souhaite pour la paix mondiale, je pense qu'il va y avoir, je pense que ça va s'empirer les choses, puis il va y avoir, les conflits vont s'expandre. Je préfère être dans le tort, mais je pense que la Chine va prendre un recours militaire vis-à-vis de Taïwan bientôt. Je pense que la Chine va prendre un recours militaire vis-à-vis de Taïwan bientôt. Je suis 50-50, mais je peux dire que dans le plus que 50, tu sais, comme ça s'en va vers 51, puis je sais pas pour le 50e État, je sais que depuis 2018, depuis que Donald Trump a imposé des tarifs sur l'aluminium et l'acier, c'est là que depuis ce temps-là que je fais appel à Donald Trump pour me combattre dans un combat de boxe, puis j'ai mon sac à dos avec les gants rouges depuis que j'ai pratiqué la boxe, bien sûr, mais mon ami anonyme m'avait prêté ses gants de boxe. C'était pas un prêt, bien sûr, correction. C'était un don, c'était un cadeau, là. C'était un cadeau, puis je l'ai utilisé beaucoup. Il y a un peu de dommage dessus, mais je les vends pour 1 million. Pour donner 50%, la moitié à mon ami anonyme, qui n'a pas été mon ami à cause de l'argent, parce que j'ai jamais eu, fait que j'ai jamais eu de l'argent, n'a pas été mon ami à cause de l'argent, puis je continue à faire appel à Donald Trump pour me combattre dans un combat de boxe sur la frontière du Canada puis des États-Unis, sur la frontière du Canada puis des États-Unis, sur la frontière du Canada et des États-Unis, sur la frontière du Canada et des États-Unis, hein? Puis je veux qu'on construise ensemble. Merci les travailleurs en construction. Je vais vous créditer des milliards de bisous, des châteaux, puis des lavages de pieds, des bisous, puis du rock'n'roll avec ça. Pour la construction du Colisée du peuple de l'Amérique, du peuple nord-américain, du Colisée du peuple nord-américain, du Colisée du peuple nord-américain. Un Colisée 11 fois plus que le Colisée où il y a eu le Super Bowl, qui s'appelle le Blackout Bowl, le Super Bowl entre mais San Francisco, les 49ers de San Francisco, les 49ers de San Francisco avec les Ravens, les Ravens de Baltimore. C'est là, bien sûr, que J'aurais dit les Ravens de Baltimore contre mes 49ers de San Francisco, mais mon équipe, les 49ers de San Francisco, ils ont perdu, mais pas par beaucoup. 3 points, puis c'est la première fois qu'il y a eu dans l'histoire, il n'y a jamais eu, ça s'est jamais produit avant, puis ni depuis ce temps-là, puis ça fait comme 8-9 ans, là, 9 ans déjà, 10 peut-être, wow, peut-être 11 même, non, je pense pas, 11 peut-être, wow, 11 peut-être. Moi j'ai un blackout de mémoire, là. J'ai la perte de mémoire dans cette situation que je suis ici, bien sûr, fait que c'est des choses qu'il faut que s'en fasse, bien sûr. Mais bon, pour dire bien sûr dans cette situation qu'on est rendu, que, puis pour finir, qu'est-ce que je venais d'en parler, de dire, c'est que pour la première fois dans ce Super Bowl, il y a eu 2 frères. C'était 2 frères qui étaient les chefs coachs. Les coachs, les chefs coachs, c'était 2 frères qui se sont opposés. Un, il était chef de l'équipe de Baltimore, les Ravens, puis l'autre, il était chef de l'équipe de San Francisco, les 49ers. Fait que je veux qu'on bâtisse ce Colisée 11 fois, qui soit 11 fois plus grand et gros et grand, que le Colisée, l'aréna dans lequel il y a eu ce Super Bowl. Puis le premier événement, que ce soit votre dragon arc-en-ciel qui combat Donald Trump dans ce combat de boxe sur la frontière du Canada et des États-Unis, sur la frontière du Canada et des États-Unis, sur la frontière du Canada et des États-Unis, sur la frontière canado-états-unienne, sur la frontière canado-états-unienne, avec le temple de la déesse oubliée, 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 parce que moi je crédite ayant survécu, je vis avec beaucoup de cicatrices, beaucoup de souffrances, puis je célèbre aujourd'hui malgré tout. Aujourd'hui, le lundi 17 mars, je célèbre aujourd'hui le 17 mars, je célèbre aujourd'hui le 17 mars, bien sûr. Je fais la célébration depuis que j'ai eu la COVID en 2020. Fait que je crédite, ayant survécu la COVID, à la déesse oubliée, puis je veux construire le temple de la déesse oubliée, le temple de la déesse oubliée, le temple de la déesse oubliée. Parallèlement avec le Colisée du peuple impérial, c'est ça que je veux bâtir, puis ça je veux construire, fait que là je vais vous discuter la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, super important, puis encore une fois, la gratitude, j'ai payé mon loyer, j'ai payé ma facture d'électricité, j'ai du café, j'ai du thé, puis j'ai de quoi de sucré chez nous, même si je pense que je suis trop en retard pour acheter les gaufres. Je pense que ça ferme en novembre, mais je suis pas sûr, mais en tout cas. Fait que la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, TRD, je la discute maintenant, puis encore une fois, gratitude, j'ai payé mon loyer, payé ma facture d'électricité, je vous encourage à faire l'entraînement physique. La théorie de la refusion de la dette, ça sort encore une fois. En fait, j'ai été maudit par l'Asperger's, puis j'ai ce intérêt spécial qui s'appelle, ça soit l'univers de la géopolitique. Et c'est ça que je fais au quotidien, parallèlement avec le rock'n'roll, puis l'entraînement physique, le sport, mais c'est la danse que je préfère. L'entraînement physique que je préfère, c'est la danse. 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 Fait que dans ces conditions qu'on est rendu aujourd'hui, en étant dans ce congrès ensemble, dans cette situation moi-même, une crise financière, en vivant de cette crise financière moi-même, en vivant cette crise financière, je dois quand même dire, bien sûr, dans cet environnement, bien sûr que ça soit dans cet environnement pour la crise, puis la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, je dois dire que c'est la seule et unique solution, mais je dois quand même envoyer un peu d'amour aux camionneurs, bouchers dans les boulangeries, bien sûr tous ceux qui travaillent dans les entrepôts, les infirmières, ceux qui ont travaillé dans les coucheries, dans les couche-tard, bien sûr dans les garderies, les chefs, les chauffeurs d'autobus, les travailleurs de services de sécurité publique, les travailleurs publics, bien sûr, qui travaillent dans le déneigement, bien sûr, qui travaillent dans l'environnement, bien sûr, qui travaillent dans la construction, puis tous ceux qui font dans ce ménage de transformation pour faire, bien sûr, dans cette... La nourriture, bien sûr. La nourriture là, qu'on a besoin, bien sûr, c'est les fermiers. Hein. Ça commence avec les fermiers, bien sûr, puis c'est ce point de convergence parmi les fermiers que ça soit dans ce type de civilisation qu'on est rendu quand même, tu sais, qu'on prend des choses pour acquis, mais c'est quand même un gros privilège, puis on est rendu à un point de financier où bien des gens, tu sais, bien des gens, ils ont de la difficulté avec les finances, puis moi-même avec mon 10 000 $ de dette, mais même que j'ai payé mon loyer, j'ai payé ma facture d'électricité, puis je suis quand même quelqu'un qui vit avec la gratitude, mais l'emploi, bien sûr, ça a été pas mal une difficulté à maintenir un emploi vu à ma condition de neurodivergence qui est l'autisme hautement fonctionnel, ça aussi connu comme l'Asperger's. Donc c'est une situation que je vis, bien sûr, avec, c'est cette situation que je vis avec. Je dois vivre avec, mais je vis avec quand même cette condition de neurodivergence qui fait que mon cerveau ainsi que le cerveau des autres Asperger, est fait différemment. Fait qu'on doit toujours bâtir des ponts envers la majorité des gens qui n'ont pas cette condition de neurodivergence. Fait que c'est juste, ça prend l'énergie, puis ça prend l'effort de moi-même ainsi que de l'autre. Mais il y a bien des gens qui savent c'est quoi l'Asperger's, l'autisme hautement fonctionnel. Fait qu'il n'y a pas tellement d'explications ou tellement d'avis que je dois donner, puis je dois leur laisser savoir. Ben, c'est que j'ai des caractéristiques qui font que peuvent sembler bizarres ou peuvent sembler un peu, peut-être même intimidantes ou peut-être un peu croche ou quoi que ce soit, là, mais c'est puisque je vis avec cette condition. Fait que la TRD, par exemple, ça vient que de ma malédiction de l'autisme hautement fonctionnel que je vis avec l'Asperger, ça sort de la théorie de la refusion de la dette. Puis bien sûr, ayant la géopolitique comme mon intérêt spécial, je suis un analyste théoricien en géopolitique indépendant, un artiste aussi, athlète indépendant de la danse, j'adore danser. La TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, pourquoi je dis que c'est la seule et unique solution ou quelque chose qui ressemble à ma TRD? À cause qu'on paye, on a payé l'année passée 46,5 milliards d'intérêts sur la dette publique. L'année passée, on a payé 46,5 milliards. 46,5 milliards sur la dette publique. 46,5 milliards, c'est 46 000 millions. 1 milliard, c'est 9 zéros. Ça, c'est l'intérêt qu'on a payé sur la dette publique. En 2020-2025, le montant était de 20,3 milliards. Fait que de 20,3 fois 2, c'est 40,6. Fait que vous faites une remarque en tant que vous faites le calcul mathématique, que c'est plus que le double. 46,5, c'est plus que le double 20,3. Fait en 3 ans, imaginez-vous une situation en tant qu'individu, citoyen, citoyenne, citoyen X, Y ou Z, que la citoyenne ou citoyen, que les cartes de crédit. J'ai pas de carte de crédit moi-même, j'ai une ligne de crédit, je suis 10 000 $ de dette. J'ai une dette de 10 000 $ moi-même. Fait que ma dette est de 10 000 à la Banque royale du Canada. Mais imaginez-vous qu'un autre individu, citoyen X, Y, citoyenne, que l'intérêt qu'elle ou lui ou elle ou les autres ils doivent payer, si ça saute de 156 à 333, de 156 à 333, de 156 à 333. Si ça saute de 156 à 333, c'est plus que double, parce que 156 fois 2, c'est 312. De 156 à 333, ça veut dire que c'est plus que le double. 156 à 333. OK? Fait que si ça arrive sans que le salaire double, il faut que ça coupe dans le budget. Il faut que ça coupe. Qu'est-ce que vous allez couper si ça vous arrive? Bien, le Netflix, arrêtez de manger au restaurant, de commander de la nourriture, la pizza, ou arrêtez de boire de... Moi, je ne bois pas de consomme d'alcool, là, mais c'est rare de temps en temps. Un vin, si je peux me permettre, de temps en temps, pour la fin de semaine. Du cannabis légal, ben c'est légal, il va voir que vous coupez ça, le cannabis, ou des choses comme ça, parce que ça peut pas être, on peut pas soutenir ça. On peut pas soutenir. Fait que c'est une solution On peut pas se tenir. Oh, j'ai à peine des bouteilles ici. Qu'est-ce qui se passe? Qu'est-ce qui se passe, mes chers, avec ces bouteilles? Oh ouais, je sais pas, il y a tellement de bouteilles, on dirait. C'est un bar en arrière, je sais pas. Une bouteille vide, là, mais... Faut que ça soit recyclé, ça, mes chers. Ça me dérange pas, vous buvez, mais recyclez-les, là. C'est du recyclage, ça. On a du gros nettoyage à faire. Fait que la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, c'est la solution parce que l'intérêt sur la dette publique, ça a plus que doublé. Ça a sauté de 20,3 milliards à 46,3. Fait que vous imaginez, là, on est à veille d'avoir un possible effondrement. C'est possible que ça commence dès demain. Un effondrement des finances publiques canadiennes. Un effondrement des finances publiques canadiennes. Fait que la TRD qui contient la théorie d'intégration monétaire, que je vous explique maintenant, c'est la seule solution, quelque chose qui ressemble à ma théorie sinon. Il faut que ça ressemble vraiment fort, fondamentalement en principe, à ma théorie de la refusion de la dette, parce que l'intérêt, ça a doublé. Qu'est-ce qu'on va couper, bien sûr? Les finances publiques, on va couper la police, les services des prisons, des corrections, ceux qui ramassent les poubelles aujourd'hui chez nous. Parce que l'économie canadienne n'a pas doublé. Exactement comme un citoyen dans cette circonstance, sous l'intérêt, sous les cartes doubles, sans que le salaire double, il faut qu'il coupe. C'est pareil avec les finances publiques. C'est pareil fondamentalement. On ne peut pas soutenir ça. Fait que c'est possible qu'il y ait un gros effondrement, là. C'est ça qui arrive. Fait qu'on va prendre toute la dette publique-privée de côte à côte, incluant mon 10 000. Toute cette dette-là, on va faire la conversion dans la devise des États-Unis. Dans la devise des États-Unis, on va faire la TRD, on va implémenter ma théorie de la refusion de la dette. Canada et États-Unis ensemble, simultanément. Puis tout cet argent-là, on va faire la création d'une nouvelle banque, puis on va faire la création d'une nouvelle monnaie, on va appeler UI. U point unité, E point change, U point universel. U point unité, E point change, U point universel. U point unité, E point change universel. L'unité d'échange universelle aura la valeur du dollar des États-Unis. On va mettre un taux d'intérêt de 10%. Puis avec cet argent-là, on va rebâtir l'infrastructure du collectif nord-américain de l'Amérique du Nord, financer les gens, faire l'entraînement physique, financer les gens au tourisme. Car moi-même, en 2017, quand j'ai traversé le Canada, ça m'a fait sortir de ma dépression. J'ai sorti de la dépression, j'ai arrêté d'être suicidaire. J'ai sorti de ma dépression, j'ai arrêté d'être suicidaire. Fait que j'ai sorti de ma dépression, j'ai établi un esprit de corps solide avec le Québec, le Canada, mais je vous considère comme ma famille, Québécois et Québécoises, les Canadiens, puis l'Amérique du Nord, nos frères et sœurs au Sud, puis tous ceux qui viennent nous rejoindre. Fait on va rebâtir l'infrastructure, on va financer les gens à l'entraînement physique, on va financer les gens au tourisme, financer l'entraînement physique. Rebâtir l'infrastructure, bâtir plus de centrales d'Hydro-Québec et bâtir 44 tunnels, bâtir 44 tunnels dans le cas d'une guerre thermonucléaire. Fait que c'est pour ça qu'il faut faire l'implémentation de ma TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. On n'a pas le choix. C'est bien sûr quelque chose qu'on n'a pas le choix. La TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. La TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Pour faire, bien sûr, dans ce point de convergence qu'on est rendu, bien sûr. TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Super important de faire la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, de faire l'implémentation. C'est quelque chose qu'il faut qu'on fasse dans le constamment. Puis il faut qu'on fasse dès de suite. On est le 17 mars aujourd'hui, 2025. Fait on n'a pas le choix de faire la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, pour la création de l'unité d'échange universelle. Fait cette création de l'unité d'échange universelle, il faut qu'on fasse la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Fait maintenant, je vous encourage à l'entraînement physique, la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, le moment de la vérité pour mes finances, moment of truth, la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, Québécois, Québécoises, vous êtes famille, prêtez allégeance, les gens, prêtez allégeance, les gens, vous êtes famille, prêtez allégeance, les gens, vous êtes famille. Prêtez allégeance, les gens, vous êtes famille. Oh, very minus. I can go up to minus 500 because I got an overdraft protection. Je peux aller jusqu'à moins 500 parce que je paye 4 $ par mois pour l'overdraft protection. Là, mais tough financial situation, eh? So I can basically withdraw $10 and Gonna check the other one. Regarder l'autre. So I'm paying interest 10,44%. L'intérêt que je paye, c'est 10,44. 44, 44, 44, 10,44, 44. I have to pay it on April 4th, le 4 avril. And how much I got in debt? So I can go up to 10,000. So basically I'm in debt 9,941. J'ai une dette de 9,941. That's the debt on my credit line, and that's how much interest I pay. C'est l'intérêt que je paye. So I'm paying more than 10 that I said that we're going to put as a principal. On va mettre en principe un 10%. Ça ne pourra pas être qu'est-ce que je paye maintenant. Ça pourra être, avec la TRD, ça va pouvoir être moins que ça, mais pas plus. It's going to be able to be less than that, but not more than 10.44. I paid 10.44 because the Bank of Canada just reduced it. So that's my $10,000 debt. C'est ça que j'ai en dette de $10,000. $10,000 debt. So see, je mentais pas. So for the whole week, I'm gonna withdraw temporary network problems. Yeah, but did my transaction go through or what? That's the first time I have this. On va voir ici. I'm gonna go here now. Don't leave your papers here. Somebody left their papers, but just throw it in the recycling. Draw 20. Imagine all the networks, how it works. So if thought the God was so all-seeing, I guess how it all works. See? Things we take for granted, on prend pour acquis, mais c'est sûr, c'est la science, and networks and lines and account numbers and now I got 20, j'ai $20, so it's gonna be for my week, the whole week, and now I got 9,961 in debt, 9,961, j'ai 9,900 de debt, so I'm gonna have to pay interest on that, you know. It's receipt, that's what it is, and 904, so let's rock and roll with that. So this is for a whole week. I got 20 to last me for the whole week, so that's how we're gonna get rock and rolling with that. And if there's an emergency, I still can get like $25 for food, you know. But yeah, in a tough financial situation myself. So open for business 24/7, and there was some blessings, I guess. Somebody online, and Priestess Hannah Bless Kiss, Nasha, and another mystic, and who read some of those pyramid cards, who predicted something good, and that's Simagenchi, LOV from Priestess Hannah, which is the priestess inside this body, priestess who dances from many a times in the temples. Get that DGA, got trillions of kisses. Let's get that DGA, got trillions of kisses. Get that DGA, trillions of kisses, get that DGA. Trillions of kisses, get that DGA. Trillions of kisses, get that DGA. Trillions of kisses. And I'm gonna put this book of wisdom here in the back, and so we gotta get doing, and that's how we gotta get rock and rolling with that. And that's how we gotta get. Let's go. Getting on the field, rock and roll. So that's my precarious financial situation, and yeah, I'm glad I was able to get the 20 to last me from Monday to Friday, get something for the Sabbath, and if I can get wafers for $1.25 each, if not, have something at home, I got something at home. I'm gonna go around the bar as I came, and gonna check if the Max is open. If not, something else is open, and that's all we gotta get it on the go. We gotta get it now. So, gonna sing some of that good rock and roll, bilingual rock and roll edition, and that's where we are now today with the situation. Many people are in a very similar situation, very similar in a financial situation, very financial similar situation. So that's all we gotta get doing with the LOV, So let's get ready for the rock and the roll of the road. For the butchers and the bakers and nurses and the doctors, firefighters, truckers. Gotta get for the puddle, Ain't no puddle, ain't no hustle. Truckers on the road you go, Flip him some burgers, that you gotta meet. Meat and the sausage, gotta eat. Meat and the sausage, gotta eat. We gotta eat something to please, we gotta eat something to sneeze. Sneeze a helicopter, chopper, rainbow dragon, that's the flavor. That rock and roll for the bus drivers. It ain't about Wall Street only. It ain't all about Wall Street. Everybody gotta eat. You know that I sing well, you know that I sing a spell, for the bells and for the hells, you know that I go up in the road. For the truckers, for the road, let's go for the deep south. Who's got that tornado? Gotta give it some rock and roll. For the deep south, you gotta go for that. Et voilà qu'on chante, puis les étoiles le savent. Hey, le travailleur du Québec que vous avez monté en haut du ciel pour en faire du repas, puis le repas de repos sévère. Travailleur du Québec, ça compte les étoiles dans les airs, les mains dans les airs québécoises. La danse d'un pas de la gauche, pas de la droite, les pas par en arrière, par en avance. Pas de jupe, c'est la frustration, ça va ça. Des jeans calvaires, les culottes dans l'air, ça va, c'est métropole, la métropole et le Montréal, ça va les 17 régions des provinces, que ça chante avec la face, des grimaces, regarde, c'est mon ombre, je regarde, c'est mon ombre, c'est mon oncle, c'est ma tante, qui danse avec sa face, encore et encore, belle province, que ça chante, ça danse, ça descend, de sa montagne, ça descend de sa montagne, ça fasse encore, des pas en arrière, ça avance, ça recule, quelqu'un qui m'appelle, je m'appelle Hercule, ça bouge les muscles, pas le cerveau puis les muscles. La danse, oh mon Dieu, vous avez fait le nettoyage des bouteilles. Mes chers, laissez pas des bouteilles de même ici. Faut que vous sachiez du recyclage. Ouais, aïe. Je suis un peu frustré, ça me dérange pas que vous buvez, mais buvez, bon, tu sais, juste mettez ça dans le recyclage, là. Laissez pas ça de même dans la rue, tu sais. C'est quelque chose que je dois quand même faire. Vers les étoiles, je regarde les mains, puis ça coule, ça le sac. Ça recule dans un cercle, les gardes, c'est Orion que ça danse et la lune. Que je me perds, la lune, ça bouffe. Where's the moon? Where's the moon that I gotta see you soon? Where's the moon that I gotta see you soon? I gotta see you soon. Gotta see the moon. Gotta see the moon so that I can soon. Gotta see the moon so that I can ruin. So I gotta be it. So I gotta see it. So I gotta be it. So I gotta see it. So I gotta be it. So I gotta see it. So I gotta believe it. So I gotta be it. I gotta put my bells up in it. Gotta put my bells to see it. Gotta put my bells to see it. Put my bells to be it. Put my bells to see it. Gotta see it to believe it. You gotta see it to believe it. 99 years on the road, is that true? 99 years on the road. How come? It was trucks mostly 50s, 60s began, no? But I guess in other ways, 99 gotta check it. Muir's 99 years on the road. Wow, that would be nice. Muir's Cottage, maybe they go with those carts, man. 99 years ago, that was 1924, if we count for today, depending when that was written. If that 99 years was written 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, because I don't know how old the paint is, you know what I mean? Gotta discern how old the paint is, you know. Gotta discern. I don't know how old the paint is, but you gotta discern with that. So that is what it is, and that's all we gotta do with that. So it's something which we gotta be doing, you know. So something which we gotta be implementing, you know. So that XYZ, you know. So something which we gotta be. But depending when that was written, maybe in the carts, you know. Gotta cross the street where there's lights in the shadow. That's what I say. We're gonna eat. Where the clouds in the shadow. Where the lights in the shadow. Where the light in the shadow. Where the light in the shadow. Gotta get a net. Gotta get a net. Gotta get a net. Whenever we ain't fishing for, we got a food for. We got a food for. We gotta take those toes. Take those toes. I have those blows. Dragon vs. Trump gonna blow my nose. Dragon vs. Trump, you gonna blame you hoes. I ain't a whore. I wanna marry a whore. I wanna marry a whore. I do wanna marry a whore. I'm androgynous pansexual. Marry me a whore, man. Cuckold. I don't mind. Cuckold is good for me. I think that would be actually what I would primarily be, you know. Cuckold, man. Good husband, though. Good groom. Androgynous pansexual. Bride and groom 2 in 1, you know. I'll be the bride and I'll be the groom, you know. What a mess. I'm a mess. But yo, gotta look up in the mask. You gotta look up in the below. Gotta look up in the below. Gotta freestyle. That's the storm and that's the thunder. That's the lightning. That's the thunder. What a fumble, get a sack. I play football, I rap. That's the rock and roll, and that's a zapper. Zapper for the ICBM rockets, for the nuclear showers, yeah. You knew that World War III knocking on the door, you see. Well, I've been the COVID that survived. Pestilence that saw pestilence died. And you know I'm Action Street, and you know I'm Action Beats. For the rock and roll you heat, for the rock and roll you heat. That you know I freestyle Rainbow Dragon meet. Freestyle, it's always freestyle. 24/7 rock and roll. 24/7 rock and roll. Rock and roll, c'est toujours du rock and roll 24/24. C'est toujours du rock and roll. 24/24, toujours du rock and roll 24/24, toujours du rock and roll 24/24. We gotta get it on the go. On the toes. Sur les orteils, yeah, 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 yeah. Les orteils, yeah, 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 yeah. Danse, danse, danse. Sur les orteils, yeah, 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 yeah. Les orteils, les oreilles, ben ça fasse des oreilles. Les oreilles, ben du riz, ben du vagabond bestie. Ben du vagabond bestie. Vagabond de bombe, vagabond des blondes, blondes. Pour les arcs-en-ciel, homosexuels, ben ça bouge, je danse. Je suis homosexuel, quoi donc? Pour le rock'n'roll, ça bouge les fesses ben comme faut. Des feux d'artifice, ben en arc-en-ciel, là, noir et blanc. Travaille les dragues, mais ça pompe, camionneur à la danse, ça bouge les orteils, travaille en construction, ça prend les mesures. Des mesures à kilowatts, mais ça fait sembler watts. Avec une omelette, ça danse la bébête, ça danse ma tante Ginette, la province. Le roi est absent, le roi est absent, qui reste chez eux, chez nous, chez moi, dans mes provinces, regarde la République. Vive la République! Vive la République! Vive! Encore une fois, la danse, encore une fois, en arrière, ça dans ce tour, dans le cercle, la carré, ça dégage dans le bleu à la ciel. Par la métropole secondaire, les bains dans les airs. Calvaire! Dans un verre. Québécoise! Les orteils à bouchon. That's the Quebec French rock and roll 24/7 bilingual. Let's go it for the industry. Let's go it for the power. Let's go it for the power. Power. For the shower, power higher. For the stars up in the lights. For the stars up in the lights. You know that's the disco, that's the height. I ain't afraid of no heights. I ain't afraid of no heights. Gotta love it, love is bite. Gotta love is bite. On the train up in the pain. On the train switching lanes. On the train feeling danger. I ain't that place, but I can go insane. Go insane, it's in the brain. Go insane, it's in the brain. Go aloof, it's in the spark. Go aloof, it's in the dark. Go aloof, it's in the bark. I ain't got no money for the guitar. And I ain't got no money for the studio. I got plenty of scars. I got a rock and roll in my heart. Gotta play it up in the bark. Dogs be harking bark. I've been hush 'em up. So you know that's what's up on the toes and tiptoe. On the go, firefighters lovey. Firefighters getting some loving. To the firefighters, how they hopping? What they know it? What about it? So you know it, what about it? That's the decking, what about it? That's the baby start about it. That's the pain and pistol about it. That's the pain and pistol about it. That's me baby priest about it. That's me baby priestess about it. That's me baby priestess about it. Gotta sing it, brody, about it. For the fumble, for the sack, for the fumble, for the laughter. That you know we flavor black and white with a rainbow on the top. Give me some cream and some sugar. Give me some salt, give me some pepper. Give me some cream, give me some sugar. Give me some salt, give me some pepper. Give me some cream, give me some sugar. Give me some salt. Give me some pepper. Give me some salt. Give me some pepper. Donne-moi du poivre noir, puis du sel blanc, ça fasse de la crème. Crème. Pas besoin d'un poème, du dragon en arc-en-ciel. Bouge des mains et des orteils, d'un poème, dragon en arc-en-ciel. C'est du rock'n'roll, le chemin des morts, j'aime le rock'n'roll. Oh. Fais d'artifice de ménage, fais d'artifice de sacrifice de fromage. Quelqu'un québécoise, let's go for that rock and roll, man. Gotta get it on, man. I'm shopping. Never had this before, so I'm gonna shit. I guess I'm gonna try this first time. Special $1.99. I mean, I never had it before, so might as well, I guess, you know, try new things sometimes on the market, you know. Nouveau chose sur le marché, so double mix. But it doesn't say, usually I check where it's made, you know, so. Oh, Algeria. It's imported, but whatever. I never tried, so I tried, whatever. I don't mind imported stuff, of course, Just now I'm a bit on the made in Canada, and Canada it is, you know, so. Or the other, where's the other ones? Oh, they went up in price. They went up again. Yeah, they went up in price again. From 125 to 125. They were $1, now they're 139. It's still good for the price. C'est encore bon pour le prix, mais ils sont quand même montés, you know. They went up in price, ils sont montés encore de 14 cents, 40 cents. 14 cents, they went up. Aye, 39%. It was $1 3 years ago. was $1, c'était $1. Ça a augmenté de prix, mais je sais pas. Il a augmenté encore de prix?
Je sais pas, monsieur.
Messieurs, madame, des fois.
Il dit que c'est un peu de prix.
Ah oui, à cause de la nouvelle taxe.
Ouais, c'était avant c'était $1. Là, c'était 1,25 puis là, c'est 1,39.
Ça se peut.
OK.
Parce qu'ils ont dû tout réajuster les prix avec les nouvelles taxes de frontières que...
Ah ouais, OK. C'est-tu à cause de ça? Ouh!
Ouais, l'épicerie, ça va augmenter. Là. Les petits fruits, là, le cours de prochaine semaine, ça va augmenter aussi.
Fait que la dernière fois que j'ai payé, c'était 1,25. Fait que là, c'est 1,39. Ça veut dire 1,39 moins 1,25. 14 cents. Ça fait du sens, 14 cents, le 25 tout ça. Mais parce
Plus
que
le coût de la vie augmente encore, donc ça augmente.
mais ça, parce que ça, c'est fait en Italie, ça. En tout cas,
C'est...
je veux pas me plaindre, là, c'est quand même un bon prix, là.
Oui, pour vrai. Il y en a qui sont plus chers que ça, on va se le dire franchement.
Ah oui, ah oui.
Mais c'est fou les prix.
Avez-vous la carte de points?
La carte de points un petit moment, oui.
C'est fou comment les prix augmentent
C'est
vite. Là, ça
terrible.
n'a pas bon sens.
C'est terrible.
Ouais, arrêtez de m'appeler monsieur, s'il vous plaît.
Ah, OK.
Merci. Je vous aime, moi, mais pas de monsieur, pas de madame, les deux.
C'est parfait.
OK.
Mais oui, c'est fou comment le prix augmente tout le temps. Là, ça va pas.
Ouais. Et encore vous, avec votre salaire, en plus de ça, vous augmentez pas le salaire.
On augmente à chaque année quand même, mais c'est...
Merci, ma belle.
Bonne soirée.
Vous aussi,
pas,
pareillement.
c'est pas assez, il faut pas être au prix de la vie. On va se dire que
Ouais.
le prix des loyers aussi.
Les maisons, mais il faut apprécier les travailleurs en construction. Hein. C'est eux autres qui les construisent, là, aussi. On parle de bâtir d'autres maisons, d'autres constructions, mais c'est les travailleurs en construction qui vont le bâtir premièrement, tu sais. Moi, je les respecte quand je les vois en haut de la grue, là.
Baby, t'es
Qu'est-ce
rien
que
avec
vous
tes
faites en
coraux. Moi, j'ai pas ça.
Moi, je les aime puis je les admire. Tu sais, je sais pas comment ils font pour être en haut de même. Là. C'est la grue puis c'est le chantier. Salut. Ciao les filles. Bonne soirée à vous. Anyways. Ouais. Augmentation de prix. Hein. And yeah, so augmented, it went up, it went up, it went up, it went up. You know, so that's what it is with that, and that's what it is, and that's how we gotta get going with that, and that's how we gotta get on the do, you know, so it's something which we gotta do, you know. C'est quelque chose qu'il faut qu'on fasse. Qu'il faut qu'on fasse, you know, so that's what we gotta do and love and it's what we gotta do nonetheless. Woo! They increased in price, so augmented prix, so gonna put them in the backpack and we're gonna rock and roll. That's what we gotta get. That's what we gotta get doing, you know, so let's go. Let's go. I'm still grateful though, you know, I'm so grateful. It's still, they were $1 in 2020, 2021. About 3.5 years ago, they were still $1. Then they went to 125. Now they're 139. So they're still good. But I gotta disinfect my hands. And usually I disinfect, like I'm gonna disinfect my hands and I'm gonna disinfect the goods also, you know. The fellow, hope they get a raise, hope they get a raise, hope they get a raise, you know, so. Hope they get a raise with that, but we gotta get it on the go, you know, so you gotta get it on those goes and gotta disinfect the hands, hand sanitizer, you know. Get that hand sanitizer. Let's see where they at. Oh, it's in the other bag? Oh no, maybe here on the side. Yes! This is made in Canada. Antibacterial. So gonna disinfect the hands and it's cold. Gonna also disinfect the goods. My treat, I'm not gonna eat them all. My treat once I get back home. So how much did I pay? So the fellows, citizens, cousins, my auntie and cousins there, my auntie. Gonna also disinfect because so many people touch and they got bacteria, microbes, germs. Il y a des gens qui touchent. Fait que c'est l'hygiène personnelle, the personal hygiene sometimes, you know. It's a personal hygiene thing, so you gotta disinfect. It's cold. And then disinfect them all. It's a bit gooey, but gonna disinfect with the hands, disinfect, you know. So there we go. Disinfected, and that's disinfected. And this is new. I'm gonna try this one, and I'm gonna try half of each. And now my hands again. Put that gel, and let's go. 20 seconds. 19, 18, 17, 16, 16, 15, 14, 14, 13, 13, 12, 12, 12, 11, 11, 10, 9, 9, 8, 8, 8, 8, 7, 7, 7, 6, 6, 6, 6, 5, 5, 5, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we still got some leftovers for that disinfectant because you never know. Bacteria, germs, microbes, les bactéries, les germes, puis les microbes, c'est possible des fois que ça existe partout dans le collectif. It's possible that it's the collective, and you know there's biological warfare, and you never know. Now, a few weeks ago, there was the revision about COVID. COVID was revised. There was a bacteriological made in a lab and in a laboratory, so that's possible que c'était fait bien sûr dans un laboratoire d'après la CIA. Fait que you never know. Maybe it was meant to wipe us out with that, but that's how we gotta get doing. So auctioning everything that I'm wearing. Je vends tout ce que j'ai sur moi, and sending some love to my fellow workers there. Butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, hope they get a raise. And had a little bit of my French. Those are my cousins, my family, you know, Québécois. C'est ma famille, avec ma cousine, ma tante, c'est comme ça je vois. Tu sais, quand je m'en vais à l'épicerie comme ça, c'est comme ma tante, mes cousins, mes cousines, les Québécois, les Québécoises, my Québécois like my family, you know. So that's about how I roll with that, you know. And sometimes we're like a dysfunctional family, but those who were there to the cashier registers were workers, and very nice. And the workers' opinion, one of the workers' opinion was that the increase due to the tariffs. The increase due to the tariffs. Que ça augmentait à cause des tarifs. Que ça augmentait. Vous savez, parce que, voilà 3 semaines, je l'ai acheté, puis c'était encore $1.25. About 3 weeks ago, I bought it, was still $1.25. So from $1, now they're $1.39, but that's 39% in just 3.5 years. En 3 ans et demi, ça a augmenté de 39 cents. Fait que c'est quand même 39%. So that's the problem, that it's a big percentage increase, that the percentage is big. So that's where the problem lies. So let me check the bill. Let's go with our rock and roll. So the bill So wasn't it $1.99? It was $3.99. What the hell? I think I'm gonna have to go back. I think I'm gonna have to go back because it seems like there's a surcharge of $2. Before they close, and I'm so broke that I can't afford to pay. Je pense qu'il y a une surcharge de $2. Fait que je peux pas me permettre de payer le $2, tu sais. Je suis tellement en crise financière là, que je peux pas me permettre, tu sais. So I gotta run back. Je dois courir. You gotta run back. It's maybe the scanner, not their fault. It's a scanner, man. Ouais, mais je pense que tu m'as pas changé le bon prix pour les golfs. Je l'ai pris à 1,99. C'est marqué 3,99. OK. OK, c'est bon. Yeah. Yeah, see, it's $3.99, and here it says $1.99.
choisi, ils étaient à combien?
De quoi?
Les 1,99?
1,99.
Est-ce que tu l'as avec toi?
Je l'ai avec moi, oui.
Ça va être plus vite si je scanne.
Ça va être plus vite si tu le scannes.
Ouais. Parce que sinon, il faut que je rentre tous tes numéros à la main 2 fois.
Je l'ai plus là, c'était une
Oui,
1,99.
je m'en souviens.
C'est pas de ta faute, là, c'est pas de sa faute, c'est le scanner, là.
Mais comme là, il scanne encore.
Ouais.
Ils l'ont sûrement mis en travers.
Tu peux m'en donner un autre, s'il te plaît, pour le prix, genre? Dans le fond, c'est double, genre? C'est ça?
Mais dans le fond, c'est un gratuit et un 1,99.
Ouais.
Donc, c'est bon.
Ouais, en
Donc,
place.
j'en ai plusieurs.
Ouais. Tu peux me donner un autre comme ça?
T'en veux un autre comme ça?
Ouais.
Un autre?
Ouais.
Donc, ça fait 3 total. Lui plus 2 autres.
Ben, un, j'ai gratuit.
Ouais.
Il y a
Donc,
un
en fait, on aurait 3 au total pour le
total, c'est ça, pour le
C'est bon?
plus long. Ben, différent, s'il te plaît. Tu peux m'en choisir un différent?
Un différent. Bon.
Parce qu'il y en a au choco, banane.
Ah, ok, ouais. Ça.
Parce que je veux pas le rentrer puis le sortir, là.
Non, non, non.
Merci. Très gentil.
Je sais juste pas de signature à faire. Donc, ça, c'est ta facture à faire.
Ok.
Je vais te le laisser.
OK.
Juste, on va besoin de ta signature.
OK. OK, attends. Mais dans le fond, chocolat banane, puis un autre. As-tu un autre saveur? Non? OK. Chocolat banane d'abord.
Non, c'est tout dans le jeu.
T'es sûr, le brun
Les
là-bas?
autres, c'est pas les mêmes.
OK.
Je sais pas
OK.
s'ils sont le prix.
OK. C'est quoi dans le fond? Tu me donnes un 2 piastres, c'est mieux parce que prendre 3 pareil. Là.
Ok.
Ça fait travailler. Je pensais vraiment qu'il y avait une autre saveur.
Ok, donc tu prends 2.
Juste deux.
Ok.
C'est la même saveur.
Je vais juste avoir beaucoup de signatures.
Ouais, je vais marmoler ça un peu.
Et ça, c'est 2 factures.
C'est à moi?
Ouais.
Merci ma belle.
Merci, bonne soirée.
Toi aussi pareillement, puis n'oubliez pas de changer votre...
Oui, oui.
Et moi, en crise financière, je vais checker mes factures. Ciao, ciao. Ça arrive, it happens, you know. It's the machine, it's not the fault of the worker, you know. So I appreciate, you know, you get one free customer service and temps gratuit, puis t'as le $2, you know. So hope they get a raise, It's of course not the fault of the worker because it's the machines which were not adjusted to the right price. C'est les machines qui n'ont pas été ajustées, puis c'est la bonne. Ils travaillent tout le jour, they're working hard here, and the raise, they haven't got a raise, give them a raise, donnez-leur une augmentation de salaire, un bonus, give them a check, don't be so selfish, millionnaire pour les travailleurs, for the workers, the millionaires, you know, gotta have some solidarity, for un peu de solidarité, so. I wondered if there was something off, that's why I said I'm gonna recheck the bill. Chat. Got $2 back, $2, $2. So now it's clocked in, man. Yeah. Real world, man, real life. So the machine didn't scan well. The machine that didn't have the special price. The special price was $1.99 from $3.99. So basically it was half price from $3.99 to $1.99. From $3.99 to $1.99. But it wasn't put in the machine, so it's not their fault. So they also worked all day. How many hours? They're about to close in 44 minutes, 44 minutes, 44 minutes. So it's also, you know, you gotta be also mindful, you know, when you, that it's not them, it's the machine. That's why you do it with a smile and in love and understanding, because they probably work their own, you know, my Asperger's probably androgynous Asperger's avec mon Asperger's androgyne, tu sais. Ça a été un peu bizarre, mais that's what we gotta get doing on that, and we gotta salute the ambulance drivers. Les ambulanciers, a little bit of LOV for them, and you know, it's something which we gotta be mindful, you know. Workers, they need a raise and sending some love and peu d'amour, you know, and it's the machine, you know. And but if something was odd, I said, hey, how come I got only $3.25 change? Because I said, well, I calculated by head $1.99 plus I know that it went up in price, $1.39 I calculated. I said that's about $2.80 for those two, and then the other one $1.99, it should have been around around 5, close to 5. So that didn't make sense. So that's why, parce que j'avais calculé, puis je disais, ben 1,39 x 2, c'est comme 2,80, plus 1,99, c'est proche de 5, comme quasiment 5. Puis pourquoi j'ai eu moins que, j'ai eu juste $3 quelque chose de change. Fait que c'est ça, il manquait 1,99 parce qu'ils m'ont chargé le prix original. Ils m'ont chargé le prix original. Fait que c'est ça qui est arrivé dans le fond. That's what happened, of course. That's what happened. C'est ça qui est arrivé, bien sûr. So let's go for that rainbow rock and roll as we clock it in. French and English. We're gonna get it for that French and English rock and roll. For the workers on the go, we got on those steps. And this is the adventure of real life here. On the go. We gotta get it, as you know, so that's what we're gonna get doing with the drill. XYZ, XYZ. For the drills. For the drills and for the drills, for the kills and for the wills, for the black and white and rainbow, for the white and black and rainbow, pour le noir et le blanc et l'arc-en-ciel, danse des tapes des mains et des pieds, danse des mains des tapes des pieds, danse des mains des tapes des pieds, danse les mains les pieds dans les airs, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's blow. For the workers, ambulance drivers, and the firefighters, LOV. The butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the truckers. The butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the truckers. The butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the truckers. Les ambulanciers, les infirmières. Les travailleurs, les caissiers, les caissières. Ça, c'est la montagne, la montagne, la montagne. That's the mountain clicking that red. That's the mountain clicking that red. That's the mountain clicking that red. You know just what I said for the up and down the rainbow. You know we gotta get it on the go. For the up and down no, you know we gotta give it on the road. So that you know, so that you blow. For the X and Y and rainbow, so that you go up and down and up and down. For the singing song longer, for the singing song longer. For the butcher, the baker, the butcher, the baker, the love of the sake. And the love of the snake, and the love of the snake, and the love of the baker. And the love of the snake, and the love of the baker, and the love of the snake. You know, we gotta give it for the kitchen, for the butchers, for the butchers, for the baker. No, we gotta give it for the kitchens, for the bakers, for the butchers, for the butchers, for the butchers, for the bakers. For the butchers, for the bakers, for the butchers, for the bakers. And you know, we gotta get it on the go, we gotta get it on the go, just so that you know. That's the Montreal, and that's the show, that's the Montreal, and as we go. For the black and white and rainbow, for the black and white and rainbow, got 3 hours on the go. Got the longest video yet with the phone. Biggest, la vidéo la plus longue déjà avec la vidéo la plus longue avec ça. Cellulaire, intelligent. With this phone, interesting. We're just gonna clock it in. But exactly 3 hours, and that's it. That's all. We're gonna head back to headquarters. That's my second home, the Mountain. Dragon vs. Storm Special Edition. Grateful, thankful. I got my wafers. Got some wafers. When I get back home, I'm gonna eat them. J'ai les gaufres. You know, I got a sweet for wafers. That's proof. And, you know, I gotta get it that disinfectant. That's what it is with that. I gotta get it on that disinfectant and disinfect the hands. And that's clock in, man. You know, rock and roll 24/7. Butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks. And when I go back to my headquarters, geopolitics again. Quand je rentre chez nous, mais c'est encore de la géopolitique, l'entraînement physique. It's again that workout training and exercising 24/7. As I go, as on the go, as I go up in the know, as I go up in you know. For the left and right and indoors, outdoors. Gonna get it for the butchers, gonna get it for the bakers, gonna get it for the LOV so that you see it. For the mountain, for the left, for the right and for the sets, for the right and for the best. For the left and right and sets, for the left and right and best, for the left and right and guest. For the guest and for the flex, for the rest and for the flex, for the rest and for the rest. For the rest up in your sets, for the rest up in the sets, for the rest up in your best. For the rest up in the best, for the rest up in the best, for the rest up in the best. For the legs and for the legs, for the left and for the right, for the left and right and bakers. And the butchers and the plumbers and the bakers, electricians and plumbers, that's it, that you're right, for the left and right and center. To the left, to the right, to the right, to the left, to the right, to the left. That's that Scorpio that you know, that's the Scorpio that you flow. Butchers, bakers, nurses, truckers, where the lights are the shadow, where the lights are. Oh, there's a shadow where the lights are. There's a light there, there's a shadow. You gotta up and down we go, you gotta up and down we go. For the flavor up and smack, for the flavor up and die. We're gonna see up and lights up in the seas. So you know a harmony please. So you know up in the harmony bees. Bees and trees and up to seas. That's the mountain, that's the believe. Yeah, rock and roll the rainbow dragon, rock and roll your sable. Hey, yeah. Truckers and the butchers and the bakers, camionneurs, infirmières, boulanger, ça boulange. Bouge les orteils, ça fasse encore la belle province du fromage, du ciment puis de l'avance. Du ciment puis ça recule. Bien ensemble, québécois, du point de vue de la chatte, il y a du point de vue, ça bouge. Du point de vue, c'est rouge. C'est la constellation Orion, ça bouge. That's that Orion. That's the belt, that's the stars, you know we held. That's the stars, you know we bells. Stars, you know, hells, les étoiles, ben ça danse, les étoiles, ben ça commence, les étoiles, ben ça douche, la douche des étoiles, la lumière, ça avance, la douche, ben lumière, la douche, ben ça avance, la douche, ben ça avance, douche, ça pleine, ben la douche, ça peint, ben ça bouge, ça peint, ben ça peine. Ça peint, ben ça line, ça laisse, ça fromage, ça bouge ensemble. Let's go! You gotta get it for the rock and rollers, you know! We gotta split it on the door, split it on the knocking, knocking who you know it, knocking who you blow it, knocking I ain't got no money in the pocket! I got my wafers, got a marching, got a Mary, wafers got some marches, got some marching steps for Golly, got some marching steps for Scully. Dressing for the priestess, dressing for the goddess. La prêtresse de la déesse, ben ça danse bien ensemble. La prêtresse de la déesse, ben ça danse bien ensemble. La prêtresse bien ensemble, ben ça danse du fromage. Ben ça danse bien ensemble, la fromage du fromage. Bien sorte, ça sort, avec sa face, me regarde, comme une danse, une folle, comme une bombe, mais la folle. Comme une bébé, c'est la folle, comme une dinde, sans dinde. Sans dinde, mais regarde, sans dinde, après ça, mais ça danse, je